everyone. Welcome to Eden+Fractal, number 40. It's our 40th meeting. We got Waves and Douglas and everybody. We've been having great conversations here. Lisa brought up some interesting topics about decentralization and data transparency. And it's been great hearing from Marco and Lenny and Eric. Great thoughts all around. We're going to go into breakout rooms in about 5 minutes or so. I think there's probably going to be a few more people rolling in pretty soon, but yeah, happy everybody's here. Thanks for joining. Everyone's here, and thanks for watching, everybody who's watching. And I'll share a brief presentation in like a minute or two, just to show a little bit of recap of where we're at, where we went, what we did last week, and then the topics on the agenda for the agendas game today. And then we'll go into breakout rooms in about 5 minutes or so. So that's that. How's that sound? Does anyone want to say hello or share any quick words before I go into the presentation? Say hello to everybody out there. It looks like both Lisa and Douglas want to, but you're both muted.
Since I'm muted, I just quickly say I might disappear 5-10 minutes. You see my beautiful without beard photo that time, but I'll be back. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you very much, Lenny, for blessing us with your beard while you're here, and then we'll enjoy your non-bearded picture while you're gone too. Hope that you enjoy your time. Douglas, is there something you wanted to add there?
Sure. Yeah. So Rosemary and I, as well as Corellia, our other team member, we're getting started with the Aquadac Aquarius Academy Fractal. We'll be having our first public meeting in 2 weeks from yesterday on the 21st. And then we're going to be having meetings on every Tuesday. So we're focused on self-development, like individual self-realization, being your real self, embodying your real self, and doing that in a collective way. And we've been doing, we did a test meeting yesterday, and it was really beautiful just to, share what we're working on, share our personal projects. This season, we're focusing on rebirth, and then we'll have a new sort of theme every 3 months. And we do want to go full on with the currency and things like that. Those things are still in the works. So yeah, I can talk more about it at the end. I don't want to take up too much time, but those things are moving forward. And then we would like, if somebody's interested to come next week, we're still practicing, but we'd be happy to have anyone who's really excited to join us next week as well. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you so much, Douglas. That sounds amazing. So thank you for sharing it with us, and thank you for leading this initiative, and thanks to Rosemary as well, and the other team members for helping this. I'd love to join those meetings, so let's follow up. I saw Marco got a link in the chat, so yeah, if you could share a link and share it in the Telegram live chat too, so everybody can see it there. If you could, that'd be really helpful. And then looking forward to following up with you about this. It sounds amazing and a great way to combine these consensus games that we're doing here with all sorts of cool learnings and self-actualization and all stuff like that you're doing with Aquarius. So looking forward to learning more, and thank you very much for sharing.
Thank you, and I'll share those links. Cool,
sounds great. And then yeah, also, if you'd like to maybe propose that as a topic in future weeks for the Agendas games, you can do that in Consortium as we discussed. So that might be a good opportunity to share more with the group in the future. And that offer is also open to everyone. Of course, everyone can post on Eden Consortium. With that being said, I'll go into this quick presentation. We're already about a minute after time, but I'll just, there's some exciting stuff that I want to share with you first. So we're going to breakout rooms in a couple minutes. And first, I'll just share a little bit of a recap of where we're at right now, and also about the upcoming topics for the hour after the Eden+Fractal game. Welcome to Tadas and Pascal, by the way. And without further ado, I will now share my screen here so you can all see. So, of course, you can check out edenfractal.com/videos, where I've been curating recent meetings. I have to add the 39th one because we just had the 39th one last week, but you can check out, 38 and 37th, and there's show notes and videos for each of these meetings where you can see all the great discussions and topics and work and so forth from many community members on edenfractal.com/videos. I just released the show notes for meeting 39 at edenfractal.com/39, where we discussed mostly using Notion as a collaborative tool. Rosemary presented some very inspiring ideas about using Notion, and we discussed tools for collaboration like Notion, also GitHub and several others. for over an hour last week. So it was a great discussion. You could check out the highlights here with some other highlights from the meeting as well as topics and timestamps. You could check out a little description that I wrote about Notion here, and check out Rosemary's presentation, as well as learn more about Notion at notion.so. There's little paragraphs where you can learn more. We also featured the overview of the EOS network timeline that Marco is creating and put together recently, and he also put together an Eden one as well, which is in the live chat. I encourage everybody to check out the Eden+Fractal Telegram chat and the live chat if you haven't checked it yet. So you can see some presentations and learn more about this at w3briefs.com. And Jorge shared an update about the Spanish-speaking Fractal. They recently worked the Eden+Fractal software. Great to hear. And you can check out the update here and the GitHub repository there. And Tadas also wrote a great new article. There's been lots of interesting discussions about our mission going on. So you can go here and check out the topics and everything else. As always, check out the timestamps. Encourage everybody to share with friends and share all the cool things we're doing. Also in the 38th meeting, speaking of Aquarius Academy, Douglas shared a quick pitch for it and explained a little bit about it last 2 weeks ago. So I wrote a little article where you can learn more at aquariusacademy.com and see Douglas's presentations and so forth, as well as some contributions from Douglas to our mission and vision. As far as the topics today on the agenda, on the Eden Consortium, there's 3 topics on the agenda. The first topic that we'll discuss is Tadas's presentation about Firmament and Albedo. I'm stoked for this one, and also Git and GitHub and so forth. This came up a little bit last week, so I'm really excited that Tadas made this. And then I also just put up the proposals again for the Eden+Fractal Participant Agreement and mission statement from same ones as last week as well, if we have time for that. You can learn more about Albedo on the Pomelo grant. Tadas is doing great work, and he just recently updated it, so that can provide some supplementary resources for after the meeting today. And I've also been curating a page at edencreators.com/Albedo where you can learn more and see some interviews that I've done with Tadas and Patrick, and also a lot more about Albedo and what it is and so forth, with lots of articles. So thank you, Tadas. There's also articles about agreement on edencreators.com/agreement and vision and mission that I've been curating about the other topics. And I also have a Pomelo grant as well at pomelo.io/grants/edencreators. The other one is at pomelo.io/grants/albedo. And of course, you can just see all the great grants on pomelo.io. I encourage and would appreciate any support for this. What we're doing is super helpful for everybody, and more funding can help all of us help empower communities way more. So please check out that. Also, Lenny's been doing awesome recaps too. And so this is at the recaps on Pomelo. I encourage everybody to support fellow community members. Jorge also recently put up one for fractal democracy in the Spanish-speaking world. And Marco recently put up one for the W3 Brief site, which we talked about before with the timelines. So I encourage everybody, if you have Pomelo pitches, it's really, really helpful to promote each other's work and help people cooperate with these consensus games. So I wanted to give a quick shout out there. And if anybody has other ones, those are just the ones that I saw that were in the group so far. So please feel free to share in the Telegram group, and we'd be happy to feature and promote your work as well. With that, we're going to go into breakout rooms in pretty much right now, and we're going to play Eden+Fractal. So that's the presentation right there. I see we have lots of people joining as well. So thank you. Cool. I see some messages. Douglas shared some links there. So thank you, Douglas. And Jayza talked about EOS Mexico, which we also talked about on the town hall. So looking forward to all these discussions. Welcome to Das, Pascal, Vlad, and Noam. Hope you're all doing well. And thanks for joining. We're already 5 minutes past, so we'll start the breakout rooms now, and I suppose the breakout rooms will end like a minute after the hour or so forth, because they'll last for about 55 minutes. There's only 12 people today, so I guess we should just start 2 groups of 6, and then if anybody else joins, then they just can't participate. Or, I mean, we could do 3 groups of 4, but I don't know, does anybody have any preference about whether we do 3 groups of 4 or 2 groups of 6? I'd be particularly interested if Vlad has preference, because and Lisa said she'll have to run, so don't count me. So that means we can't do the groups of 4, because technically with the software it only works with groups of 4. So I think we'll just do 2 groups, and we'll do 2 groups of 6. And then if one person joins, then they can join. If more people join, then we can figure it out. But everybody who's here can participate in consensus. Cool. So I said a lot there. Thanks everybody for being here. Feel free if you want to share any words before we go in, but I'll start at the break rooms now and hope everybody has a great time.
Hi guys.
Good day. Sorry.
Hey Vlad, good day. All good. Hey, Tadas, cool sweater and cool look with the background too. It looks like you're from the future.
The sweater fits the background. I didn't plan that.
Yes, it looks like you're speaking from the firmament.
It's only the elite here. That's crazy. Nice to be in your company.
Likewise, a bunch of amazing people here. Well, first off, I'm just Jayza got lost, so I'm bringing Jayza back into the room. He's going to be joining us in a moment. Yeah, and first off, would anybody like to kind of moderate and help lead this room? I'm happy to do so if you all would like, but if anybody else would like to, then feel free, and that'd be cool as well.
I think you can moderate that.
Okay, sounds good. I can certainly do that. Okay, well, would anybody like to go first and share your contributions towards Eden+Fractal and what you've been up to lately?
I'll go first. I'll be real quick. Yeah, no, I just did the timeline. Hoping other people will add insight to that. I would like that not to be just my perspective. If you want to go through it, that's fine. Otherwise, I pass it on to anybody except Tadas, who's got a lot to say. So maybe string is along. I'd like to hear what his vision is.
Sounds great. Yeah. Also, well, thanks once again for the timelines too. I'm really looking forward to seeing the new Eden one. I just took a glance and it looks awesome in the live chat. And yeah, I'm stoked for Tadas's presentation as well. Is there anything else you'd like to share, Marco, or would you like to pass it on to somebody else?
No, just that I don't want that to be my whole perspective. I like to see the community thing, and if it could turn into a community project, that's great. Please don't expect the editing to be good. I just copy pasted my notes just to get out here in time. I don't know. Sometimes I like the idea of some of the community information that gets out there, and this is so basic that yeah, it could be fun and inviting for other people to make distinctive. Also, make the fractal distinctive. That was really the original goal. It's not EOS, it's not fractal. It's not.
Yep, great points. I agree. Also, welcome Jorge too. Great to see you, and I hope you're doing well. There's 7 people in the room right now because there was 12 people when we started, and or actually there was 11 people when we started, and 2 people have joined since. So I suppose it's just the first 6 people here can participate in consensus. If more people join, Jorge, then we can start up another room. But currently there's a total of 13 people, and there's 7 people in this room and 6 people in the other room. So I invited you here. Of course, you're welcome to join and share your thoughts and stuff like that. But as far as consensus goes, there's only 6 rooms for who can reach consensus in the room. So we'd have to figure out some sort of way to proceed there. And I imagine the way that makes the most sense is just the first 6 people who are here would be participating in consensus. Of course, feel free to share any thoughts if anybody has any opinions about this. And Jorge, it'd be great to hear from you if you want to say hello. And if not, I suppose, Marco, if you'd like to pass on to somebody else.
Yeah, hello. Can somebody hear me?
Yes. Hey, Jorge.
Yeah, I couldn't get my Windows computer to start, so I'm talking through the phone. Yeah, I think it makes perfect sense what you just proposed then.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, I appreciate you joining, and yeah, I hope more people will join. In the future, we should certainly promote it more. We're doing a lot of amazing stuff, and certainly more than 13 people can benefit and enjoy coming to the meetings. I just haven't had as much time as I'd like to promote it because there's been so many other things going on, but I encourage everybody to help promote it. I appreciate you, Jorge, sharing it in the Spanish Fractal group and inviting people like Jeza. And yeah, so thank you, Jorge, very much. And I suppose I can ask again if Marco, you'd like to pass it on to somebody else.
Lenny.
Okay, you take the easy pick, don't you? You know my tune. No, joking. Okay, you've seen that before. Nothing changed except I level 4 last week, and I do my recaps, as you know. I spending time also getting into the AI bots and similarly to actually make more effective use of the recaps, and including maybe videos and stuff, and actually give quick pointers. So I'm looking at further development of it, a little bit depending on how much cash comes in in Pomelo and similar, but it's going. I mean, it's enough for what I do today. It's not a problem, but there is so much more that could be done with what's happening with AI and whatever. Just haven't got the time to study it and learn it properly. I've been on my mind for quite a while, but gotta have a time for it. So basically, you know me, you know what I've done. It's nothing much change than usual. And what I'm working extra on now is all Eden again. And that's to go through the different breakout rooms, because even if it was the 5th election, and I've gone through all the rooms, but almost every room had problems, and that's 5 elections down, which is a bad thing. It needs to be sorted out. But it looks like, these guys might be able to do it. That's all I say, and I pass to Tadas. He looks hungry to get in.
Okay, thanks. So, yeah, I was just working on a presentation which I'm going to do after these breakout rooms, and also I've been working on front end for Firmament, as I do lately. Other than that, I participated in a lot of discussions over the last week regarding the mission statement and similar ideas, Git. And there is one interesting DAO initiative in Eden space. I discussed it with Joshua regarding his draft of bylaws. Yeah, so hopefully something will arise out of that. Yeah, in short, that's about that covers all of it. Don't want to speak for too long. Don't want to get tired.
Sounds good. I suppose you have to save your speaking voice for your presentation about Firmament afterwards.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll pass it on to Dan. Why don't you go?
I could, although I'm also getting my presentation for this together as we speak too. So if Vlad or Jeza wants to go first, then that would be appreciated. Vlad or Jeza, are you interested in going first?
Yeah, I can go first. Basically, I've been trying to get one-on-ones with Palmer and Jorge because I talk about a little bit about the proposals. I'm trying to figure it out. Also, some of the things that I think I want to. Well, we haven't talked yet, but I want to talk with Dan about trying to compile some sort of history. What happened in 2020, 21, and 2019 on EOS, because I'm working on an article. Hopefully that will give some light of the transition that we had on EOS as far as DApps and VPs and just basically governance. I'm working on this article, trying to get like some sort of continuation of the community, regardless of what happened with Block 1. I would like to know if there was some kind of like other things working on the background in those years, because the thing that I happened to find out is there was like a silent period, and Dan also was aware of that, of the silent period that we had pretty much after 2019 with the community. So I'm trying to do some research and come up with some kind of like, I guess, historian article or just an opinion piece of what could have happened. Yeah.
Awesome. Sounds great. Well, thanks, Jeza. I'm looking forward to speaking more with you about that. And it sounds great. I've really been appreciating speaking with you. It was great speaking with you at the town hall as well this week. So thanks for joining there, and really excited about all your work. I see Marco has hands up.
JZ, are you familiar with the history on W3 briefs?
I mean, I've always been in EOS from day one. Being in EOS from the inception. I actually come from Steven. But
I'm just trying to save time. I've been putting together a newsletter for 2+ years, and there's links there. You can kind of search it. You would have to search the regular way. I want to build a better search engine, but it's 100,000+ words on in depth a couple of years. You'll have the transition to the foundation. And I did dig up some content from 2017, 2018. So you're definitely going to have to try to use Google. But here's a link. I hope it saves you time.
Yeah, yeah, please send me the link. Yeah, okay, got it now. I'll check it out. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, Jay, is there anything else you'd like to share, or perhaps you'd like to pass on to somebody?
Vlad.
Yep. So, I would say two areas that I worked on. One is Zeos. And with Zeos, we are at the stage where the contract is deployed to the mainnet, but it's not deployed to the main account, so to say, but test account. And today might be the first day that the Zeos protocol does an action on the mainnet. So that's pretty exciting. Matthias set up a DSP, and I configured the account today so that it would work. And now, yeah, Lenar will try triggering some actions through the front end. So let's see. I think there's still gonna be errors, but at least we are getting there. Besides that, with Zeos, I've been thinking about how to decentralize the contracts, since this is still the main objective of mine, so to say. Because, as I mentioned previously, you don't want to be a key holder of a protocol that does privacy. Some people think that this is not very good thing, and you can go to jail or die or whatever. So you need to do something to decentralize it. And we've been having discussions with Matthias. So initially I proposed to have this delegate system as we have, but then he suggested to think about the latest suggestion from Fractally, which was the average respect over some period of time. So I also thought a little bit, and actually it absolutely makes sense for a couple of reasons. Well, one of them is that there are less delegates. So I think there should be from 6 to 8 delegates, custodians. And this is the average number of board of directors in like traditional companies, in traditional corporate governance. So this is a small number that still can coordinate well, but it's decentralized enough. Also, it ensures that those members are really active. And it also ensures competency, because highest ranked members are the most competent. So yeah, been just doing design of that, already thinking how to code that in smart contract, and I think I will start testing it like in the background. So when we will be triggering the voting actions with those meetings in the background, the test contract will collect the respect and start calculating the average. And so initially I will try to automatically change the multisig in the test contract. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. And yeah, some chats in the Eden group and some chats in the Zeos main channel. Yeah, that's it from me. Done.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for the update and all the great work, bud. That's super exciting, and congratulations on the launch on the mainnet as well. I'm looking forward to hearing more about that and learning more.
Yep.
Also, welcome Space Wrangler Joe as well. Thanks for joining, and hope that you're doing very well today. Oh, I see you unmuted there. Hi.
Hey, I was just going to say hello and thank you.
Sounds good, Joe. Thanks. So there's 7 people in the room today. So you joined a bit late this time and last time, Space Wrangler Joe. So if you're able to join earlier, then that would be helpful, because I really love to give you lots of respect. I think that you're doing amazing work in the community, and I think you're an awesome. Well, from what I've heard, you're quite a talented artist, and I'm looking forward to learning more about your work. And I really appreciate your enthusiasm, attitude, and energy, and everything like that. But there are 7 people in the room right now, and you joined a bit late. So there's a max of 6 people who can participate in consensus. So we actually just explained this to Jorge before. We only had 13 people, or actually there was a total of like 14 people who joined today, but we just have 2 breakout rooms with 7 people here and 6 people in the other room. So that's why I invited you here, because I figured that we could talk with you and hear from you here. And I'd be very happy to hear what you've been up to and so forth. But there are only 6 people who can participate in consensus and receive respect in each room. So I'd be curious if you want to go before my presentation. I have my presentation ready, so I can share now. But if Space Wrangler Joe, you'd like to share your thoughts or what you've been up to lately, it'd be cool to hear from you. Or you can go after me. Either way works.
You know what? Why don't I go after you? Why don't I go after you? That's fine. And I appreciate the let me know and the patience and the concern for me getting more respect. That's nice of you, Dan.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Well, it's I aim to be nice, but I also really appreciate what you're doing, and I think it's in everybody's best interest to give you respect, because you're doing awesome work and bringing a lot of value. So I appreciate that. And yes, so I'll go first, and then yes, Space Wrangler Joe too. We've also just had a note. I suppose we could discuss this in private more, but we've been trying to connect on a call. So I'd love to connect on a call with you sometime later this week if you're available, and we can talk in more detail then as well. So I will share my screen now, share the presentation that I got put together in last minute, as I tend to do often, it seems like. And I will share it right now. In the future, of course, I'll try to get this more ready in advance, but it's been crazy times in general. Okay, cool. So what have I been working on this week? I've been working on a lot. It's been a busy week, as always, going into the Eden+Fractal water imagery. So as each week, I make the show notes, which I introduced before, so I won't go over too much, but I take a while to write all these, as well as make the video and make everything look nice. There's a lot of little editing that I have to do. At some point, I'd love to work with some other video editors and content creators to do this. I'm working on raising funding as well. That's been a big theme in my recent plans. But yeah, I put together all these articles and I just wrote little stories about some of the top topics, including the EOS network timeline and where he's worked with the Spanish Fractal, and Tadas' article. I have to fix the bolding and stuff because some things are messed up. But that's one of the things that I do every week, in addition to organizing timestamps and related posts and everything like that. I also host the Eden Town Hall, of course, every week. And the one that we did this week was the 40th one, edenfractal.com/40. I'm still like 3 weeks behind on actually releasing these because time and so forth and all these priorities. So once again, focusing on getting funding to hire some help here. But I put together, we had a great meeting. Jeza talked about the Spanish-speaking Eden communities quite a bit, and so we had a great conversation there, as well as we summarized some recent meetings going on in the Eden Fractal meetings and many other things too. So I put together this page. There'll be more show notes in the future here, but I've just been putting some basic pictures together and basic kind of headers to organize the meeting. So these are all the different topics that we discuss, and fairly soon, when I'm able to edit all these, then they will be coming out soon, and you can learn about all these things that I've been learning about or sharing. So that was great. We did like a 2-hour podcast, and we had a bunch of people there. There's probably like 9 or 10 people, I think, who joined, or maybe less. I don't remember exactly. I just reposted the 2 proposals for a participant agreement and our mission. So just put those together quickly. And I also just shared a bunch of messages in the Eden+Fractal Telegram chat. I responded to Jorge about Haifa. He had a good question about it. And then I also shared the Eden Town Hall I did with the Haifa team a couple weeks ago and shared some links. I've also been working with the Haifa team pretty closely and the Alien Worlds community as well, but I'll share more details about that later. And then I've also put together my Pomelo pitch this week again, and then shared it a bit to help raise more funding for Eden and so forth. Just got it up, and we'll be promoting it more in the future. And I also linked just what I do every week, basically, just constantly working. I work on this beyond full time, pretty much every hour of the day to help the community and help grow Eden and help people cooperate. In addition, one of the major things that I did this week, one of the things I spent most time was responding to Perry. Perry, he made an accusation that I threatened him with censorship and character assassination, which I was very careful to carefully explain in a kind way. And so I just sent him a quick response here just to clarify the situation. And I wrote a lot more that I'll be sharing soon. One of the major things that this made me think about was code of conduct. Gabrielle had shared some great ideas about code of conduct and this contributor covenant agreement that it's used by a lot of different open source communities like Linux and Golang and so forth, and Google and Microsoft. And I think I'm just proposing just the standards for like demonstrating empathy and kindness and being respectful and giving gracefully and constructive feedback and so forth. So I've been doing research into this and seeing how it can help, and yeah, people can learn more, but that's basically one of the things I've been focusing on. I think that's a helpful kind of protocol for how we cooperate in communities, and this could perhaps be a helpful resource. So I'm planning to propose, I think, next week. And I also responded to Noam too, who's asking about censorship resistance too, because that is very important. So I wrote quite a bit of notes about this, as well as about the mission too, because Perry had some good questions about the mission. So I wrote quite a lot about the mission too, as well as reading Tadas' article and all the other thoughts about it. And then in addition to code of conduct, I also got a lot about dispute resolution too, how to peacefully resolve disputes in communities. Inevitably, people will disagree as we go forth. So I've been looking at more equal animals and the work of Eden on EOS, like Chris Barnes sharing about dispute resolution and so forth. Dan Lammer wrote this great article. So planning to maybe propose a topic or something like that for how we can better handle disputes here. And I've been rereading some of More Equal Animals, which is a great book, of course. And I have this website where I'm still planning on curating More Equal Animals, but working on that. In addition, I always also propose the MSIGs and so forth, so everybody can receive the respect that week. And there's a bunch more stuff. I also met with Vlad too, and we've been planning a proposal for Eden tools with Alien Worlds community. And I've also been collaborating with lots of people behind the scenes. I did the Community Stories podcast that Rosemary's starting up last week, and I've been helping her set up the branding for that as well too. We've been talking a lot about how to help promote these communities. And then I'm also working quite a lot on funding plans as well, to reach out to communities to raise funding for everybody here, and also for Eden creators to make better videos and so forth to spread the word. So that's that. I didn't have a timer, so I apologize if that presentation went for long, but that is my presentation. Happy to answer any questions, and I'll disappear the boat now. And I suppose I'll pass it on to Joe.
Good morning. Hard to follow that act, Dan. Yeah, that is just tripping with respect. You do so much there. You were trying to speed read to get it all in there at the end. So quite impressive. Yeah, I apologize. I do an AI night here in Los Angeles every Tuesday, and it was run till real late last night, till like 1 a.m. So I had a rough time getting up this morning, so that's why I'm late, and I apologize. And that surely doesn't deserve respect, because I was up at 7 and I was like, oh, I got that call this morning, and then the old snooze of my brain happened. So here we are at 8:15. I got on, so I apologize for that. As far as what I've done with the EOS stuff this week, I've done a lot. Like Dan was mentioning, I reached out to him quite a bit. Mainly just on the studying, and I looked at Rosemarie's article. I was on a call with the Crownlandia call. I'm still trying to just wrap my head around the history of what you guys have done and where you're at and who's doing what and who all the participants are. I looked at G News. I looked at what Perry was got going on. I saw the heat between everybody last time, and it's kind of increased. And it doesn't seem too much like anger. Everybody's passionate and has, you know, ideas they believe in and stuff. And so I kind of looked at it, you know, Patrick and Nova Crypto and the kind of history of what he's doing. And there is so much information that I feel like I'm just garnering bits and pieces, and it is a lot of work. I went through Rosemarie's welcome thing, because I think that's a great thing, obviously, because I'm fairly new, kind of get the history, try to catch up. It's great. It's a Google Doc. It's in progress. I spent a lot of time, actually, for me, because it is a Google Doc and I'm on an iPhone, just creating my own doc with all the links. Because if I go through the Google Doc thing, it makes you on an iPhone create a whole separate browser. And so, yeah. So that's what I've been doing. I've been doing a lot of thinking about possibilities, the connections between alien worlds, and EOS, and also Upland and EOS. I feel like Upland has a really huge community that's very active. That's, I think, as far as EOS goes, the biggest DApp as far as games and stuff go. And they have a very vocal community, very interconnected community. And I think most of that community doesn't even realize that they're on EOS, don't really know about it. They know they're on a blockchain. They know they're playing a blockchain game, but they have no idea about EOS. They have no idea about Fractally. They have no idea about governance. I think a majority of those people would like to change the system in a positive way and just aren't aware of this. So I've been trying to wrap my head around a way to connect Upland, EOS, Eden, governance. They have voting aspects and community already in there. And even alien worlds, because I feel like a lot of those three intersect. So yeah, and I've been working on this project. I started yesterday. It's called the Tree of Water and Power. It's a great project. You can check it out, treeofwaterandpower.com. So it's an amazing dude, and he uses fractals, Da Vinci's old theory, and Fibonacci sequence to create this tree that has the most surface area for solar power. I thought it was amazing that it was fractal related, and I'm getting so involved with Eden+Fractally and all this stuff. He's got funding right now, but it's, you know, this huge public good. It's a way to produce power that is aesthetically pleasing and very safe for humans. Yeah, And so so yeah, so that's what I've been up to lately. And yeah, I can't think of anything else right now, but yeah, there you go.
Well, Space Ranger Jet, that sounds amazing. So thank you so much for sharing that and all the great things that you're doing. I suppose first I'll say that the AI Metaverse party you said, I didn't really think that sounds really fun and interesting. I'd be interested if you're, I don't know, I don't remember exactly what you said, if you were participating in that or hosting that or something like that, but if there's more of those, I'd be interested in maybe joining and learning more about those. No worries about waking up early. I can imagine. Well, I've been there, of course, and sleep is important, especially if you're up late partying in the AI metaverse. And by the way, you changed the background, but that looked awesome too. It was a cool, like pretty trippy kind of metaverse looking background. So I like that. And also everything you said sounds really cool. I'm looking forward to checking out treeofwaterandpower.com. And the collaborations with Upland, I totally agree. I'm thrilled that you're speaking about Upland and then also reaching out to the community and building your own doc with different parts of it and doing all the research and community members. That's so cool. So thank you so much, Joe. I really appreciate it, and I'm stoked to be collaborating with you.
Thanks, Ed.
You're very welcome. Does anybody have any questions or comments for Joe or anybody else before we go into consensus? It sounds like not. I have many questions for later for you, Joe, when we have more time. So looking forward to that conversation. I suppose we can start getting a consensus then. Did anybody have the Fractalgram app up? I haven't opened it yet. Maybe if Tadas, do you have it open or?
Yep, I already opened it. I can moderate. I mean, administer the process through the app.
Sounds great.
I wonder if I did right now. Tadas created a group and I answered it. Aha, here we go. That's the new one to reply to. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay.
Good message.
I'm too fast.
I'm trying to find the group. So lately I've been the one administrating it. So do I just automatically join it or do I have to click a link?
I wasn't able to add you, so you have to click a link.
Oh, okay. And where's the link?
In the Zoom
chat. I see it now. Okay, cool. Thanks.
So now we are 7. We need to. Yeah, now we are. Someone has to leave because this allows reaching consensus only between 6 members.
Could it be that I'm double? No.
No, it's because there's 7 people in the room here because Space Ranger.
Yeah, it's me. Sorry, how do I unjoin? How do I dismiss myself?
You can go upper right. Are you on phone or desktop?
Phone.
And normally you got the 3 burgers, the 3 dots, and if you click there, you find a menu, and the bottom one is delete and leave.
Okay.
But I'm saying that from laptop.
I'm out. All right, I left you guys. I miss you already.
You can stay and listen to us argue who is going to get what.
I know. I'm just teasing.
Yeah, that was an issue from the Telegram too, because I feel like I feel some regret or remorse something because like you shared an amazing presentation, you're doing so many cool things. So I really want you to be participating, but it's just a bummer that's how it goes. But certainly in future weeks, I very much want to give you level 6 Space Ranger so you can get lots of respect. So it's very, very much appreciated and looking forward to doing that in the future.
Cool.
And also Tadas, I joined late, so I can't see the message that you did the prompt.
Okay. Did another one.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and Jason, is that your name, right? You have to reply to the message with your EOS account name. Not a normal message, but a reply.
Did you hear that, Jeza? Jace's typing, although he's not responding in audio. Okay, Jace responded.
Yes, I'm on the phone, so I can only have one app.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so are we all ready to go then?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
I created a call for level 6.
Okay, so far I think there's 4 votes and 2 people haven't voted yet.
On my end, it shows that everyone has voted.
Oh, okay, I have to read. Well, no, it still didn't show for me for some reason. For some reason, for me, it's showing that Vlad and Jeza haven't voted yet.
Click view results again if you haven't done it.
Yeah, I'm clicking view
Okay.
results and then clicking X.
I see 6.
Interesting. I wonder why it's happening like that. Maybe I can.
Yeah, I noticed it happens sometimes, but I think it happens on all. It can happen on any Telegram client, so might be related to the server.
Okay. Yeah, normally I thought it would work like Lenny mentioned, where it seemed like if you just close you hit X and then you click it again, then it showed it. But this is the first time that I've had this issue so far.
It could be worth doing a test. Why don't you change your vote? See if it happens anything with your results. Then we know if it's some glitch at your end.
Okay.
Then go back again wherever you were, wherever you want.
Yeah, now it's strange. Now it says 3 people voted for one person, but it says 1 vote next to it. So I think it's just bugging out. But I'll try retracting my vote and then vote again and see if that changed anything. And now it's not.
We have 5 votes now. Maybe I screwed things up.
Well, I did just retract it, but now I just see who's rating level 6, and now it's not even loading things. So I don't know. Maybe I just have issues with my Telegram app. Anyway, I suppose that we can resolve. I can figure out my issues later. But I can't see who voted. So maybe if you want to lead it from there, Tadas, I voted for Jeza.
Yeah, now it's not showing your vote.
Yeah, that's because I retracted my vote, but it won't. I mean, do it again though.
Okay.
So
okay, so currently you have 3 votes and I have 2 and 1 vote, and Jeza has 1 vote.
Okay.
And I think Jeza just retracted his vote. Looks similar like Dan. Was interesting. Moving it around maybe. Now I got 6 again.
Okay, yeah, I just quit my Telegram app and restarted, so now I can see where everybody voted. Cool. So I guess would anybody like to share what they think about why they voted? I'll just go quick, I guess. I voted for Jeza. I think Jeza, he's been participating a lot in recent meetings, and I really appreciate him joining on the Eden Town Hall. I learned about how he's helping out with EOS Mexico and the Spanish Eden community. And he's also, from what I hear, quite a talented developer. I've appreciated how he's been sharing messages about like EOS stack and doing all this research into capacity EOS and so forth. And I also like to reward new people who are joining and bringing their talent to the ecosystem. So I think Jeza, it's awesome. It's also been a pleasure speaking with Jeza so far as well. So that was my reasoning. I'd be happy to hear what everybody else thinks about why they voted and what they think should be.
Well, I voted Dan mainly because last time I voted him down a bit because he didn't spend enough time for Eden, so to say. But a bit better this time around and similar. So, but if he wants it to go elsewhere, it might go so. But I'll just stay with that for now. Thanks.
Sounds good. Thank you, Lenny. And yeah, I very much appreciate that. I am always focused on Edens. I don't know exactly what you mean about that, although perhaps I was later than I should have been and putting too much on my plate at once. But thank you, Lenny. I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, I voted for Dan too because I think he's doing an amazing work and curating everything. Yeah, but I support the idea of voting more for a bit newer community members to Eden+Fractal, especially if they contribute a lot. So I switched to Chase a lot, and I see we have 4 out of 6 for Jason, so we can go on to level 5 again.
Cool. Sounds good. Yeah, and just a technical note, for some reason, my app keeps messing up. So I don't know why that's happening, but just a technical note, I had to keep quitting and restarting it.
What app are you using? Desktop or?
Desktop on the Mac, yep. The official app.
So 5 out of 6 people have voted. Two for me, 3 for Dan. I myself voted for Dan. I suggest everyone votes for Dan. I just I don't know. This week wasn't as productive as previous weeks, and I don't know. I've been in a couple of rooms lately where Dan is not voted as high, so I think he deserves it.
Thank you, Tadas. I appreciate it a lot. I had voted for you previously because I really love the work you're doing, and I'm also just stoked about your presentation with Firmament too. So that was part of it, and I also just really appreciate everything you do. I think you're doing amazing, incredible work. So I voted for you, but I also accept that I'm working hard, and I appreciate that. So I'll switch my vote to myself as well.
Okay, so we have 4 out of 6 for Dan. If no one objects, we can move on to level 4.
Okay, sounds good. Well, thank you, everybody. Oh.
Okay, so 2 people voted for Vlad, 4 for me, I think.
Yes. I actually meant to vote for you too, Tadas, but I clicked the wrong button, and now I'm trying to change it. Of course, I love what Vlad's doing too, but I voted for Tadas here. I'd also love to see Vlad too. I love when Vlad's on the camera, but that's something that matters to me a little bit as well.
Okay, thanks. So
what was that, Vlad?
Next time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Sounds good.
Oh, sorry, don't.
Wow, now I got Tadas as if he didn't get voted up.
Yeah, made a mistake deleting some options from the third poll. I will redo the poll.
It's good. That's how we find bugs or things to think about.
Yes.
So just to be clear, the app is working pretty much perfectly for everybody, because for me, it keeps messing up a lot. But hey, it's working fine for everybody else right now, just my issue.
Mine is working fine here, and I see all your reflection. You know, whenever you retract, I see a grayed out with a percentage, and then when I refresh, it disappears and similar. So it works very fine. This is Windows.
Okay. Thanks for the feedback. Yeah. Every time after I submit a vote, I have to close it. And now I only see options with 3. Okay, that's normal though. Okay. It looks like Vlad has 4 out of 6 here, as I get a cramp in my foot.
Vlad, vote on yourself. Maybe Marco too. Vlad, I know you're doing much, you know. Thinking also takes time, you know, and when you've been thinking what you mentioned, it's worth probably more than what I did. I read mostly.
I gave you a multiplier for the Eden, as I did with Dan. So Eden contribution is worth more than yours.
Cool. Sounds good. And maybe if Tadas, you want to let us know who voted for who in this one.
Yeah, so three people voted for Marco, 3 for Lenny. We are totally split.
Who got a coin? Flip a coin.
Well, as I know that came up previously in Genesis Fractal, and Dan Larimer talked about how you know, it's good to figure out reasons rather than just leave it up to odds if we have time.
Well, timelines are more exciting than recaps. So
Well, I think I give you one thing. You got to be more creative. So, okay, let's go Marco this time. I just copy what others did and try to curate it.
I didn't do much. I just added a summary with links.
No, I'll hit you next time. Don't worry. Okay, let's change it.
Timelines and recaps are both very exciting, but I'm having with Marco here. I think that I'm really looking forward to looking into that new Eden one.
Now it doesn't want to, come on, what's happening here now? Let's see if I get it right. Yeah, now I got it right, but we are still 50-50.
You know, we're working together here, coming to consensus. I think we can do projects like that while we're doing these meetings. Big blockchain allows us to do that.
Marco, vote on yourself. Jason and Vlad are on my side too, but come on, guys, jump in on Marco, then we have it finished. This time, next time, just kick him down the bucket.
Age before beauty, right?
Next time, age before beauty. I think I got a few years on you.
I feel like Marco's he's working on his stand-up routine over here.
That's the time. All right, I'm gonna take it from. I just forgot how to retract the vote.
Right click.
Yeah, no, I know.
Okay, and then we have about 6 or 7 minutes to find consensus on the delegates. So Tadas and I are in 18, which is now ending. Yeah, so Council 18 is now done. So in Council 19, Lenny's there. In Council 20, nobody from here is there. And in Council 21, we have Marco, Vlad, and Tadas in there. So I am currently not a delegate, and I will put myself up for running as delegate. I'd like to be one.
Here's a sort of dispute thing. Heads up, I don't know if you have time, but in this app, it's probably too hard to bother with, but maybe in the future. Once, just like block production informations, once we vote past level 1, level 2, so maybe 2 levels, when clicking, you're clicking on like a timer. So by the time we get to like level 3 or 4, whatever we move down, they finalize and nobody can change their vote. They just kind of got it from there. There's sort of a lot of vote changing. And at some point, they just confirm a timer so we can move through this quick and not have to worry about confusion, bringing other stuff up that's out of order or whatever.
Yeah, I think that having a timer in the Fractalgram interface or whatever other interface we use can be very helpful to keep people to time and keep people aware of the time as well. I think that'd be a cool feature at some point. Okay, so it looks like I have consensus on delegate. So thank you, everybody very much. Excited to serve as a delegate. And this has been a great room too. So thanks everybody for all the great work and the great meeting and all the fun times and everything. Knockout claps. At some point too, I want to get where Zoom or whatever we use to record records the emojis, because Zoom doesn't record it for whatever silly reason. And I sometimes announce it so people on YouTube can be aware, but it'd be better if people could just see it, and people would be a lot more expressive. There's so much potential for expressiveness on the visual camera that we haven't yet tapped into.
Yeah, it'd be a good marketing tool too. And I agree. This was one of the better rooms. Maybe the best. But then we will be there.
Can you repeat that? I heard it'd be a good marketing tool. You agree? And then what do you say?
Yeah, no, definitely. The emojis can turn into a nice marketing tool for people who haven't experienced this. There's just stuff we can do with that. And as far as a group, yeah, this one is better ones, maybe the best.
Yeah, this was. Oh, I'm sorry, what were you saying?
Did you hear that?
I don't know what you're talking about. As far as
I'm
that.
sorry, you couldn't hear most of that?
Oh no, I heard most of that. I just wasn't sure what you meant by could you hear that? I thought you were talking something different. But yeah, I heard everything you're saying there. So sorry for my confusion. I think that you spoke clearly and I just got confused. But yeah, I agree. It's a great group. And yeah, I think both in terms of marketing and then also like fun and also like communication too. Like there's a lot of things we can communicate on our screens like that, like a thumbs up that I'm excited to explore as we progress.
I remember who was the guy that it was Douglas, right? Who was doing the animations, animated cartoons.
Are you talking about Michael O'Sullivan, who's doing Jeff versus the Metaverse? I don't think Douglas is doing cartoons.
That too. No, someone was using an avatar for cartoons.
Oh.
Wow. Was that just the regular Fractal? I thought it was here too.
Well, I remember Doug Wu was doing it. We haven't seen Doug Wu in a long time. I don't know how he's doing. I hope he's doing well. But he used to like to play like a raccoon or something, like some funny Zoom avatar. There's lots of potential for that too. Yeah, we can do all sorts of cartoons and characters, especially with all the new artificial intelligence tools coming out as well. And then we can finally see Tadas as a giraffe, or I don't know.
Well, we have blockchain, and because we have blockchain, that allows us to do some stuff with insurance that otherwise wouldn't be able to be done. So one meeting with an official face, and from that time, people can do avatars and everything. And it's just stuff we can do that isn't really available other places. And I think we have the capacity for more fun if we attempt it. I think one of the biggest challenges too that this is a very logical community, a developer community, and we think differently too. Maybe too logical. So it's really good to have these creators and artists. I believe artists will value digital assets one of the most. I just think they're not really technical. That's why I say gamers should lead. But I don't want to bring up that company, but voice going for the NFT arts at some point really should pay off. But yeah, it's really nice that Dan, you're a really creative guy. We're getting other people like Space Wrangler.
Yep, excellent points, Marco. I agree. And yeah, I'm really excited too. Space Wrangler. I still haven't seen your art yet, but I've heard about your art. Oh, actually, we're a minute past, so I should start closing the rooms now. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing your art, Space Wrangler. Oh, maybe I saw it already. Maybe that background and your picture is your art. I don't know. But I'm looking forward to seeing it and more of it in either case. And yeah, I agree. Stuff we're doing, and there's also facings and many other communities building cool art too. So really excited about how artists and EOS and Eden can help people out.
Speaking of me as a giraffe, we could see Dogman as a dog.
That's true. I look forward to that giraffe Tadas, so we can have a conversation as Dog Dan.
Yeah, right after we see the dog side of the dogma.
You said the dark side of Dog Man?
Dog side.
Oh, the dog side. Okay, that is kind of a funny pun on dark side too. The dog side, and then maybe we'll see Lenny as I don't know, something with an amazing beard. Maybe a. Well, we have the whole Morgul animals theme, so I don't know if there are any animals that have cool beards, or maybe like a.
I'm thinking back to a Djungelboken where
And then you got cut off there. What were you saying about the animal that you'd be or something?
yeah, Djungelboken, Rudyard Kipling's original the cartoon Disney made. That was one of those. Don't have to tell the others what we're talking about, by the way.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. I don't know if I'm familiar with that, but looking forward to re-listening and checking it out. And I feel like I kind of want to tell the others what we're talking about because I think it's pretty funny. But just a high-level overview, we were talking about.
All right, no worries.
There we go. We were talking about avatars and how there's a lot to explore. We started talking about how in Zoom, for whatever reason, doesn't record the emojis when people give like thumbs up or claps or hearts or whatever. And we were saying it'd be cool if that recorded it. And then also the avatars where you can show up as different characters or animals. We had Tadas the giraffe and me the dog and all sorts of fun stuff. So I'm looking forward to seeing everybody in their fun, creative avatars at some point in the future as we continue to evolve and explore the things we can do. Welcome, Patrick, by the way, too. Great to see you. Hope you're doing well. And welcome everybody back from the breakout rooms. Hope everybody had a great time. We'll go into Tadas's presentation about Firmament and Git and all sorts of stuff in a couple moments. Maybe I'll show the consortium screen again to give everybody an update on what the possible topics are on the agenda. But if anybody would like to share any thoughts or reflections or questions or anything like that before we get started, then now would be a good time to do so, and then I'll pull the presentation. Also, if you haven't submitted your vote yet on the consensus app, then I encourage you to please do that now. It seems like everybody's pretty quiet, so I suppose I'll just go and quickly show this. I think probably everybody's familiar with it. I'll also share a link in the chat. Once again, encourage everybody to make polls for topics that you'd like to discuss. Mention it to, also great to see Noam too. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. And yeah, encourage everybody to make polls if there's anything you want to discuss during these hour after the breakout rooms. Also, one thing that we could do potentially too is like people could share their Pomelo grants or stuff that they're working on. We could be creative with things like that, but we also do have a lot of foundational work to do as well. So there are certainly enough topics, and I'm not sure if we'll get to topics that we have, but I'll just show them briefly. The one that we'll for sure get to is Tadas's topic on Git, blockchains, IPFS, Firmament, and how they relate to each other. How Firmament can empower Eden+Fractal. So Tadas said he can do a presentation on these topics, and it also has implications for a mission. Eden+Fractal using Firmament can create a naming system, which can become its mission, or it can help achieve its mission. So very, very excited about this. Been following Tadas's progress with Firmament and Albedo closely, so really excited about that. And then if we have time afterwards, then the other two that have second most votes is a tie with that. So if anybody wants to still vote and pick which one you want to discuss more if we have more time, then the two other ones that I proposed were same thing that I proposed last week, creating an Eden+Fractal participant agreement, same exact proposal, and our mission, a mission proposal to help people collaborate, create public goods, and empower communities. Although perhaps, as Tadas said, Firmament can have implications to the mission. So we'll see how that goes. And I suppose if there's no further comments like that, then I'll pass it over to Tadas to give your presentation.
Thanks, Dan. First, a short warning. I'm afraid that this presentation can take a bit longer than 10 minutes. I know in our moderator guidelines, we kind of said that the initial presentation should last up to 5 minutes. So I just want to warn about that, and if anyone objects, then we can do something else, or I can only show part of it.
Well, I do not have any objections. And well, first off, just to be clear, how long around do you think it'll take? Around 10 minutes, or do you think it'll need longer than 10 minutes, or how much would be most helpful for you, do you think?
At most between 12 to 15 minutes, I hope.
Okay. So I see Vlad wrote no objections, happy to listen. I'm in the same situation here. I think this is really helpful. So Patrick also said the goal is to maybe do a pitch first too. So I mean, perhaps if anybody wants to, jump in with questions or clarifications along the way, then we can also play it by ear. But yeah, I think, and we have some thumbs up from, I think, Rosemary and Douglas, and some nods. So I think we're all good with that, Tadas, and I'm looking forward to hearing your presentation. And thanks also for letting us know in advance about the time too. But yeah, very excited about it. And yeah, Patrick wrote we can do clarification questions as well. So if anybody wants to jump in, then or ask any questions while that's going, then feel free to raise your hand or also share comments in the chat as well. Yeah, I suppose now take it away, Tadas.
Okay, I will try to keep track of the hands. If not, then please interrupt me if someone has any question. Yes, so I will share my screen now.
Okay, sounds good.
Now I don't see all the people. Anyway, yeah, so you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so somehow.
Is there something that you're having an issue with that? It looks all good from my side.
Yeah, I want to see the people on the other window, but I'm not able to do that.
You should have like a little hovering window. If your Zoom works the same as mine does, which I think it does, then when you go into screen sharing, then there should be a little hovering window that both there's one that has options and there's one that has like the people there. And at some point in the hovering window, you can also click view to be able to click between like speaker and gallery and stuff, which might also be part of the solution as well.
Okay, it will be okay. Yeah, so you see my screen now, right?
Yep. We can see your screen. Everything's good here. And if you're not able to see other people, but if you want to, I don't know, if you're not able to see people, but people are raising their hands, then I can let you know and so forth to help you out there. But all looks good from you though. Okay, thanks. Yeah, so the goal of this talk is to share my understanding of Git, blockchains and IPFS, first of all. The reason why I want to do this is because I think ideas from this system can help Eden+Fractal a lot, and Firmament uses a lot of these ideas, and it will help us understand how Firmament can help Eden+Fractal and other communities similar to it. Yeah, key component of all of those systems, which I just mentioned, is cache functions. So I will just try to quickly go through, explain what they are. Basically, it's hash functions are functions which take some sort of data and they output a fixed length bit sequence. And one key property is that these functions uniquely identify the data, because if you change at least one bit in the original data, it completely changes the output. And that apparently is very useful for so-called content addressing. Content addressing enables system where content is addressed by a hash, and this is very useful because addresses then identify objects by their content identity determined by a hash instead of by a location where the data is stored. So using content addressing, we don't have to trust anyone for integrity of the data, because
if we have the address, we have all the information we need to verify the integrity. And using cache, using content addressing, all kinds of data structures can be built. So some people call them cache-linked data structures. They are also known as Merkle trees, for example. And they use caches to link pieces of data and ensure their integrity. And in this talk, I will use link, address, and cache interchangeably. So by link, I will mean cache-based addresses. One cache-linked data structure we all know of is the blockchain. In a blockchain, each block contains a hash-based link to a previous block. What this achieves is that if you try to modify some historical block of a blockchain, like say block 2, you would have to change all the subsequent blocks as well, because if you modify one block in a chain, that changes its hash, but all the subsequent blocks in the original chain uses original hashes. So basically, if you have an address of a latest block, you are able to identify the whole chain, and in a way that you are able to check the integrity of a chain if you have all the data. Yeah, so this is what I just explained. And yeah, another another system which uses hash linked data structures is IPFS. IPFS is a peer-to-peer network for storage. It can be used for storing all kinds of data, but it is mostly used for storing files and directories of files. And the way it stores directories is that directories are objects that contain a list of links and their names. And additionally, directories have a cache-based address too. This means that directories can contain links to other directories, and that is actually all that you need to have a file system where to have a fully functioning file system where address of root directory identifies the whole directory, and integrity of the whole directory is ensured. And the final key existing system is Git. Git has a concept of trees, and we are basically what I refer to as directories in IPFS. So trees also contain a list of links and their name. And additionally, Git has a concept of commits. Each commit contains a link to root tree and one or more links to parent commits. And effectively, what this allows to do is keeping track of the history of the file system. Because each commit refers to a parent commit, commits become ordered, and because each commit refers to a file system, it becomes a perfect setup for version history system, because as you can see, each commit basically contains a snapshot of a file system. So in summary, Git, summarizing what I just said, Git blockchains and IPFS all use content addressing at the core of their data model. One key difference and similarity between blockchain and Git is that, well, first similarity is that in a sense, both blockchain and and Git uses it, in a sense they keep track of time. And but I see Dan, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, thanks to us. Really, really fascinating so far. And I just wanted to ask, maybe I missed it before, maybe you explained it before, but just, for people who aren't very technical and aren't sure about Git and how all these things interact, I think it might be helpful if you could like briefly summarize in, I don't know, a couple sentences in terms that perhaps a layman would understand, like something simple. If you were to explain, like there's that phrase Eli 5, like explain like I'm 5. So perhaps if you could take a step back and zoom out and explain it in very simple terms, then I think that might be helpful for both myself and for other people who aren't as aware of all the technical details. Does that make sense? Is that possible?
Yeah, it's understandable.
Can you post a link to the proposal itself?
Well, it's not actually a proposal, it's just a proposed topic for discussion. So it's
okay. Do you have a draft proposal or something we can work with you on?
Well, there is this presentation slide, and the idea for this topic proposal was to share my understanding of this system, and that will help understand future proposals future ideas relating to Firmament, for example.
I think I understood most of what you said. Most of it wasn't new to me.
I expected that.
And I suspect that people that it would be new to would not see something that they can latch onto or use from the way that you presented it. So I would like to know what kind of action items or what you'd like to add here that's new, that it isn't something we could just look up on Merkle trees or on Git.
Yes, I haven't. It will be just a couple of slides away. I will talk about Firmament, and that will be slightly newer.
Okay.
Yep. I'm looking forward to that. As Tadas was saying, he thinks it'll probably be 12 to 15 minutes. I think we've only been through maybe, I don't know, 5 minutes or so. And so looking forward to getting more details. Also, too, I shared it before, but there's some resources that I'll share in the Telegram live chat. One of them is Tadas's new Pomelo pitch, where you can see some details, as well as I have an article, edencreators.com/albedo, which provides some resources as well that they won't provide full answers to everybody right now, that they're kind of in depth, but can be helpful resources people check out later. And before passing on to Tadas back again. Oh, you're welcome, Noam, and thank you for the great questions. And before passing it back to Tadas, I see Patrick has his hands up. So first we'll pass it, if that's okay with you, Tadas, then we'll pass it to Patrick first. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Patrick?
I just want to say thank you, Tadas, for this presentation. That's very technical, but that's okay. You begin by the bottom, and I understand very well what you stated. That's okay. I just remember here for the people, on March 23rd, we will have an Eden+Fractal update 5 released, and we do the recording with Dancing Joy, Vlad, and Tadas on next Monday. We have an interview recording, Eden+Fractal update 5, and into this video, we will do a little, parenthesis on this project Firmament, and I will be sure that we have the why of this project, the why we need that, and stated maybe at a level more abstract first, high level, not say marketing, but at a level more higher, and then we will make sure to go more into the detail. But that would be nice if you can describe in 1 sentence or 2 paragraphs what's the goal of this project, that is very useful, like a directory of links. That's very important for more decentralization and all this stuff. So if you can try to phrase that in 2 sentences or 3 sentences, a little paragraph that is in 4 minutes, understandable for everyone. What do this project? That would be nice. But thank you for the sharing until there. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so I will try to explain Firmament in the future slides, but I think it's the simplest way to explain it to me seems to be by analogy, and that's why I try to go through all of these 3 systems, because having a bit of understanding about them will make it a lot easier to have a very quick understanding of Firmament. Then, as for a more simpler explanation of this system in more layman terms, so I guess I could try to do it for Git. So in this slide here, you see commits, and you could see the commit as being a snapshot of a directory, because when you change files in the directory, it is constantly changing, and basically by doing a commit, you save a snapshot of a directory at that moment, and so you end up basically with a chain of commits which track the file system across time in using discrete steps of commits. I don't know if that's any better, but that's just my attempt.
Sounds good. Thank you very much, Tadas.
Tadas, maybe I can help by asking a few questions. Maybe I can help bring it to light. It appears to me that what you've explained here in these graphs and in your words is the mechanism by which blockchains in general literally chain the blocks. That's what happens cryptographically, mathematically, to ensure the integrity of the blockchain. That's what it appears you've explained here through these technical documents. So I appreciate that. But I'm not sure, maybe you said it, I didn't quite get it just now, but what specifically, how does it apply directly to us? What is it, what is the direct implications of that enforcement of integrity? And where are you talking about? Are you talking about in Fractalgram, or are you talking about in some other application? What specifically are you trying to apply this concept to?
Yes, I will come to that in a moment. First, I just want to summarize a bit what I just went through. So, like I said, all of these systems use content addressing at the core of the data model. Blockchain uses it to keep track of a ledger at different points in time. It uses it to keep track of different versions, like snapshots of the file system at different points in time. And IPFS uses it to create a trustless peer-to-peer file system. Yes, and now this is not important. And now the key part of the presentation and what you were asking about, Perry. So I first will try to explain what Firmament is, and I have multiple definitions, and you can choose whatever one you like. So in IPFS term, you can from the perspective of IPFS and partly blockchains, a Firmament is a network of blockchains on top of IPFS. So basically imagine a blockchain which uses IPFS for sharing its blocks, and it is aimed at focused on providing communities basically a tool to track history of their consensus process. This includes tracking history of actions made, like proposal passed, people ranked, and so on, as well as keeping track of set of documents that are important for a community. Basically imagine a directory which is controlled by a consensus of a community, which I will get back to in a moment. Yeah, Firmament can also be explained in Git terms. Yeah, this should make sense for people who understand Git. It is like Git, except you have to run a consensus process to make a commit. So if you remember, I explained Git as being tracking snapshots of file systems. So imagine in order to make a snapshot, you have to reach consensus among the community members, and then this snapshot is distributed using IPFS.
Okay, so it sounds like what you're trying to do is use the same techniques that are used on EOS blockchain and Bitcoin and Ethereum, and extend those to the application that you're developing for consensus.
Yes, and for consensus, because blockchain also use consensus processes, but these will be consensus processes used by humans, like governance mechanisms, like Eden+Fractal, for example.
And this is opposed to just simply using a regular database as the interface that we use to deliver the results, for example, of our consensus, which are stored on the EOS blockchain. But then we have this weak link, so to speak, in the sense that you're using some form of a database to temporarily store or manipulate the data in the meantime before it gets there. And you may be doing some type of calculations or some form of interface, some form of business logic. But instead of doing that, you're suggesting why not use the same techniques of integrity that blockchains use? Do I have that? Am I in the right neighborhood with that?
Yes, Firmament can be used in this way to have kind of.
Wait, just hold on. Just hold on just a second, everybody. Because we are kind of veering off a little bit from the structure of one, raising hands, and then secondly, I know Tadas had another, like, he still hasn't gotten to the bulk of his presentation, like 5 or 10 minutes. So these are a lot of great questions. And I suppose it's up to Tadas if Tadas wants to answer the questions now, or if Tadas prefers to share the presentation, because perhaps that would answer some of the questions as Tadas was previously structured. So I just want to throw out there, Perry and Noam, I appreciate the questions a lot. I'm looking forward to hearing the answers. But I suppose I'll ask Tadas, what do you think would be best, the best way to proceed? Do you think it'd be helpful to Tadas to answer Perry's questions and Noam's question now, or do you think it'd be helpful to save questions until after you share more about your presentation?
Yeah, maybe it makes sense to finish my presentation, maybe to answer some questions.
Okay.
Yes.
Those are all that I have up to now, so I'm listening.
Sounds good. And yeah, I'll just ask everybody, if you have further questions, then please raise your hand, and you can also write your question in the live chat too. If you want to write some questions, then we can field them in order after Tadas shares the rest of the presentation. So thank you very much, everybody.
Yes, so these are here. So explain Firmament in Git terms now. Firmament can also be explained in blockchain terms, and that's the way I've been mostly trying to explain it so far. It is a protocol for a network of blockchains, which I call firm chains, in which blocks represent consensus meetings of communities and decisions made during those consensus meetings. The key feature of it is that it does not require any infrastructure to run it. Everything is performed by peer-to-peer in a peer-to-peer way between participant computers during the consensus meeting, and infrastructure is only needed if you want to keep the consensus data available after the meeting. But in between meetings, all the data that the community reaches consensus on is stored locally, in the disk of each participant. Yeah, and additionally, firm chains can send messages to smart contracts on normal blockchain, which enables interoperability with them. I won't go into that too much because it can be quite technical, but yeah, for now, let's skip that.
There's one
Yeah,
thing, just one thing I'm going to check in with Tadas just to make sure. I saw Rosemary, I think somebody else was asking about the slides in the presentation. I just want to make sure we've seen the same page the whole time in the slide. So I just want to make sure there's not any thing messing up if you're trying to show different slides. But right now we're still on hash linked data structures Git for the slide, just to be clear.
Interesting. You should see the different slide.
Oh, okay. I don't know if maybe you're sharing the wrong window. You have it open up in two different windows. Perhaps that's it. But yeah, right now we see a bunch of tabs on the top of your screen, and then we see it looks like the 9th page, hash linked data structures Git, and that's what we've seen the whole time.
If you have a document and a presentation mode, you need to make sure you're sharing the presentation mode and not the document. That happens with things like PowerPoint all the time.
Interesting, but it's interesting that we see the 9th slide, so it worked in the beginning, it seems.
Well, right now we're seeing the actual page on Google Docs, and we see the formatting on the side and the menu bar and stuff, like the whole editing page. So if you have it in presentation mode, which I think would be a good idea so we can see it clear, then that might be in a separate window perhaps, and maybe that's why we're not seeing that one.
And what slide are you seeing right now?
Still hash link data structures Git, same one.
Okay.
Slide 9. And thank you, Rosemary, for mentioning that as well. Yeah, Patrick, what's up?
I have an idea why it is not moving the slide, because myself, when I do with a PowerPoint or also this Git tool, PowerPoint kind of tool, that's always working well. So maybe it's because sometimes when in Zoom you message someone, you don't see the message. Maybe because Tadas sometimes don't see the message.
It looks like it's working now.
Want to say that.
Thanks, Patrick.
Now it's working. Yeah.
Right now I can see the summary page, and now I see, I'm seeing Tadas change pages now, so I think it's working now.
Okay, cool.
If you want to go back over any slides that you went over already, then feel free. And sorry I didn't mention that earlier. I wasn't sure if you were changing it on purpose or not.
Yeah, so these are a couple slides you missed. Basically, it's the same thing that I tried to explain in Word. Maybe I won't say that again, but I will share the slides after the presentation.
Sounds good.
Yes, and the main use case for Firmament that I'm most excited about is a system to track consensus on a directory of the community. Something I already briefly mentioned. Like I said, it can act as Git of a decentralized community where directory changes are committed only when consensus of community members are reached. And like I said, all participating community members will have a local copy of all the documents passed in the community. And what this enables is naming system, because as all directories do, this kind of directory will name files within a directory, and it will name other directories within a directory, and it can contain links to all kinds of other stuff like websites, accounts on any kind of platform, links to platforms themselves, front ends for that, smart contract addresses, and as well as term chains of other communities. And this is a perfect setup for a full naming system, because for a naming system where names would be controlled by a community, all you need is a browser or browser plugins which resolve names using consensus directory as signaled by this firm chain of that community. Yeah, a whole hierarchy of these chains could be created for performing naming functionality, so that the load for naming is shared. Yeah, and because as we know, reaching consensus on the decentralized community is not that easy. This system can be made very hard to attack. You of course can have a balance by delegating a lot of the naming. Root DAO basically would delegate a lot of the naming to child DAOs, and so that way the load would be spread. And if some sub DAO basically loses trust by issuing names in not respectful way, then the root DAO can take away that that naming power from that community. And yeah, I want to leave you with an idea about how powerful this can be. I would say that you don't need to control platforms. Like this is a constant argument that I get with Terry, but I think I would get into this argument with a lot of people in the crypto community. People think that we need to decentralize platforms that we use, but there is another way we can, and this other way utilizes naming. We just need to be able to own our ability to name platforms and tools we use. So imagine an example. There is some app which this Fractal uses, and people access this app by a name which we control, which we issue. And let's say users also donate to this app to creators of this app. And let's say eventually this creators of this app become malicious and start stealing and selling user data. And then we have a very clear path to resolve the issue. Someone needs to redeploy the app, and in our naming system, which we totally own, we change what the name points to, change what the app address points to, change what the app accounts to which people donate point to, and we basically resolve the issue that that is likely caused by centralization. Yeah, so I think a lot of problems that this decentralized solutions try to solve can be performed simply using naming. And yeah, and Firmament enables us to have our own naming system at almost zero cost and no dependence on any external services. Yeah, so that's it. for now, and now we can go to questions.
Woohoo! Thanks, Tadas. Great presentation. I'm wondering if Noam, or I saw Noam had a thoughtful message in the live chat. I was trying to read it at the same time while listening, so I didn't totally absorb it yet. There has been messages in the live chat. I also shared some more links there, and perhaps I'll also share a little presentation about Albedo and Firmament if you want to learn more at some point. But yeah, I'd be curious if Noam has any thoughts about that, or if that also answered Perry's question before, or if anybody else has any comments. I see Noam's unmuted, so perhaps you'd like to go
I think
first.
what I brought up what I had to say. If somebody wants to respond, they can respond on the Telegram. Let's move on.
Okay.
What do you mean? Do you mean what you asked me previously, the comment you made previously about this not being anything new?
Oh, that I think it would help you if you could focus, but maybe you already did with the Albedo stuff that Dan posted the links to. I'll have to look at it. I was just saying that the presentation, especially since we were only seeing the first slide, and you were probably talking to the later slides, was not as clear as you might have wanted it to be.
Yes.
Yeah, that was my comment.
Yes.
In retrospect, Dan got the point when he realized that we were seeing just the first slide and you were talking to the later ones.
Thanks for feedback.
Thanks, Noam. Well, I see Vlad and Patrick had their hands up, but first off, I saw Jorge raise his hands first. Is there anything you want to share first, Jorge?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Tadas if he could post the link to this Google Docs document so we can study the presentation with more detail.
Yes, sure.
Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, if you could share that in the Telegram channel, that'd be appreciated. That way everybody can see it later on. While Tadas is, I guess, doing that, yeah, Tadas just shared it. I guess Tadas just saw Rosemary asked question 2. Can you explain why we need our own naming system, what it means exactly? I think that Vlad and Patrick raised their hands first. So I guess, Tadas, if you want to answer Rosemary's question first, then feel free to go ahead. Or if we want to go with Vlad's comments first, I'm happy to go either way.
Yeah, so the very short answer is that it would allow us basically to not depend on any centralized platform while using centralized platform. And it's very hard to decentralize platform. So that's one short answer.
Yeah, and just to add that too, that's kind of assuming the value of decentralization, but that decentralization enables the communities to be more independent and resilient, and all those good benefits as well. The decentralization is a means to that end where people can be more independent when they have more options and people that they can collaborate with and so forth, rather than being dependent on just one community or one blockchain or something like that. Thank you for the question, Rosemary, and thanks as always, Tadas, for the answer. And I think we can pass it on to Vlad now.
Nice presentation. One question. So can you say that Firmament is needed then because you don't like the security of the current blockchains that have smart contracts?
Yes. Well, in a sense, you could make arguments that Firmament is useful even without that argument against current blockchain state. Because, for example, Firmament can be used by communities which don't care about crypto world. We can just use Firmament in their browser. and without creating any kind of blockchain account. So Firmament still has this use case, and for blockchain-based communities, yes, I think that Firmament can increase the security of DAOs. It can make DAOs more secure than the ones posted normally on blockchain. And this was greatly inspired by Dan's work. Reason why he started creating Fractally and later Sybase is because he saw that all the proof of stake based systems tend to centralize over time. And this is basically my attempt at a solution to that.
Understood. Thank you.
Thanks, Vlad. And I think Vlad, I think Tadas mentioned it, but one thing that I understand, I think about this is that like basically you can use names as Tadas wrote, we don't need to control platforms, we just need the ability to name in platforms. So like this would make it so like right now all the software for Eden+Fractal, for example, it's on EOS and it's open source and we can port it to other Antelope chains. But like this would allow us to not just have it on EOS, not just interact with EOS, but if we wanted to port it on Ethereum or all sorts of different blockchains or community computers, and then if any blockchain happened to be corrupted or censored or anything like that, then the community could pretty easily switch between different blockchains that it uses. So it provides way more decentralization than just one blockchain that's attempting to be decentralized, but by enabling that kind of mobility to go to all different sorts of blockchains, community computers, without needing to operate the infrastructure ourselves, or without the community to operate the infrastructure. Is that correct, Tadas? Am I thinking about that well?
Yes, that's the right way to think about it. In addition, the same applies not just to using blockchains like EOS, it applies to using any kind of infrastructure.
Right, because you have the link with IPFS. So you had the one slide saying that could potentially be used to, I think, host websites, or at least direct towards websites that are hosting things. And we could pick, what's hosting the website, or what's hosting different services for files, like for video upload or photos and stuff like that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
You could both post the website directly on IPFS, or you could link to servers which post it, or to domain names of traditional system. Okay,
awesome. Thank you for clarifying. Super exciting. I see Perry has his hands up, but I think that Patrick had his hands up first, but maybe he lowered it. Did you have your hands up, Patrick, or anybody else? Oh, Patrick is okay, pointing somewhere. I guess he's pointing to Perry. Yeah, Perry, thoughts? Oh, Patrick's pointing. I don't know where you're pointing, Patrick. We're all in different places, so you point left or right. You're pointing off my screen there. Feel free to let me know if there's anybody who's trying to point at in particular. But otherwise, I think it's on Perry.
I think, Vlad, you answered one of, sorry, Tadas, I think, Tadas, you answered one of my questions, which is, or statements, I guess, question statement. It seems like you're addressing the same thing that Dan and Fractally are addressing, which is decentralizing the hosting itself. So Dan and Fractally are creating these applications with that create consensus, social media, etc. But then they started to pivot just before they went dark, and said that they were going to do something that was decentralizing the hosting itself, so that it would because that was an attack itself. We put all our things on Google, that we can be attacked. We put all our things on Microsoft Azure, that's a place that we can be attacked. So that's what this seems like, is an effort to decentralize the hosting attack surface for that. So that is in my eyes, that's an admirable, a noble cause. But my question is, how does it relate? And I know it wouldn't be an Eden+Fractal meeting if I didn't ask a controversial question. How does that relate to our mission?
Yes, a good question. It depends on what, how concrete we want our mission to be. Because I think if we want to be, if we want it to be very concrete, our mission could in theory be to create a naming system. Although later that I thought about it, I think it's better if we first have a higher level, more abstract vision. And this kind of naming system that I just described can be used to achieve our vision. So it would actually be means to achieving our vision or our mission, whichever way we do.
I have a technical question. You could think of it as a technical question. If all we need to do is maintain the naming of the platforms, are you suggesting that the data is going to be stored in the names, in those names, as opposed to on the platform itself?
No, it cannot be stored in a name, although address, it can be content addressed in the naming system. So it could have a hash of whatever data you are retrieving. Yeah.
So I'm not clear how at a technical level, and I know you don't want to go through the whole thing again, but it's not clear to me how you're abstracting the data away from the platforms to create this security.
Well, first of all, it depends on what kind of data we are talking about. If we are talking about simple files, so you would simply store files on IPFS and use a pinning service, for example, if you need it to be available. And you should, I would say, for this system, you should use IPFS for all static content. For apps, yeah, so basically you have pure data, which can be stored on IPFS, and you have all kinds of other stuff like apps, and for that you simply have, using a naming system, you simply have an ability to switch what that name points to. So, and yeah, so like I said, if one app becomes, one app provider or service provider becomes malicious, you just simply switch what the name points to a different service provider.
So do we lose the data if, let's say, we put it on Azure for whatever reason, and Microsoft decides they don't like it and they shut it down? Are you saying that we can recover all of our data, or just simply easily move to a different platform?
Yeah, if we have copies of the data, yes, we can easily move it to a different platform. We just need to upload it to a different platform and switch what the name points to. But in this kind of example, I would it would be even better to use, like I said, for simple hosting of data, of static data, it is more sensible to use IPFS if you want decentralization.
So it's not just, is it just the data itself? Because the data that represents our votes, it seems like it's being stored on the EOS blockchain just fine. I mean, we're all observing that. What are you talking about in terms of data storage or use of a platform that isn't being satisfied by the EOS blockchain itself? I assumed you were talking about the app itself, the hosting of the app, but now I'm starting to doubt that presumption.
So
Yeah,
before you
that's a,
respond, just before you respond to that, sorry to interrupt, but I just want to just put out there, Perry's asked like 3 or 4 or 5 questions in a row, and Jorge's asked question raised for a while too. So perhaps it would be
Okay, that's
helpful to
fine.
pass over to Jorge before, so we hear from everybody. But
That's
also,
fine. I'm just trying to help him out.
yeah, sounds good. Thank you, Perry, and I appreciate it. Those are great questions. So if Tadas, you want to answer that, that's great. And if you want to perhaps, I see Jorge lowered his hand too, so I don't know if Jorge still wants to ask any more. But I just wanted to jump in there just to make that known. But anyway, I don't want to interrupt because this is a great technical conversation. Tadas, would you like to respond to Perry there?
yes, that's a very good question. It's a part of Firmament which I didn't have the time to cover. Specifically how it's what does it solve that EOS doesn't solve. And yeah, when it comes to storing data like our ranking results of breakout rooms, like rank order of participants, delegates, each participant would store this data automatically in their computer. That would be achieved by the browser. So for this, for the most important part of the data, it's distributed with copy. Yeah, and what does it solve that EOS doesn't solve? Well, most important thing is that community is then able to completely own their consensus process. For example, the normal DAOs that build on EOS, for example, they don't totally own their consensus process. And the reason why I say that is, for example, I was in one Eden election where Patrick wasn't, everyone wanted to elect Patrick in this breakout room. And this is just example with Patrick, but it could have happened to anyone. And this breakout room wasn't able to elect him because of transactions were failing, probably because of some congestion issues or PPs just skipping blocks. And so they weren't able to elect Patrick in time. So you see what this means is, it means that block producers could censor certain participants of a DAO, and we have no means of knowing if that censoring was intentional or not. Whereas in with firm chains, and firm chains, yeah, the main feature is that community would totally own its own chain. In that kind of system, the community would be in total control of who is elected when and so on.
Thank you very much, Tadas, for the response. I see Perry saw his hands up, so I'm curious if Perry asks if Perry has more questions. But first, I have a couple questions, and then Jorge also wrote that he's got some comments related to Perry's thoughts about admission. And so I think I'll ask my questions more directly related to Firmament first, and then we can pass it on to Jorge. And if Perry or anybody else has any comments about Firmament too, that'd be great. By the way, we are at an hour too, so thanks everybody so much for the great discussion. Thanks once again to Tadas for all the great work, really exciting and inspiring. I also want to give a shout out to Pascal too. Pascal wrote in the Zoom chat before we had to go. Good job, Tadas. Keep up the nice work for Fractal at infrastructure level. Completely agreed. The questions I have 3 questions, and maybe I'll just ask them all at once because they could potentially be quick questions, but feel free to just answer one if you prefer. But my questions, kind of more general questions. One, Marco had asked this in the Telegram chat, and he asked a similar question. I'd be curious to hear what your thinking is. One is, why is it called Firmament? I've looked it up, but I think it's called like something about like the heavens or the sky or something. So why is it called Firmament? I know Albedo has something to do with the light too. So I'm curious if there's a relation. So why is it called Firmament? And then I'm also wondering, what's the timeline on when you're planning to build or release these, and how can we help?
Yeah, so answer to second question is, I hope to have something that communities can test in maybe 3 months time, hopefully. I'm basing this on our work now, and currently I work alone on this. I would gladly welcome anyone who wants to help in developing this. Anyone can help in other ways, like sharing about this, creating content, better content that this presentation here, and just understanding this and I don't know, sharing about it, or just donating on Pomelo. I forgot that. I will share a link, because if I would receive enough funding on Pomelo, then I could try to recruit some more developers, because for now it's not enough. It would not be enough to even pay myself as a developer. And regarding the question about the name of Firmament, it's interesting because in some translations you would say that it's sky of heaven, but it's also etymologically it seems to be related to some firm structure, to something firm. And the way I came up with this name is that I used the concept of confirmations a lot in designing this, and in the same sense that blockchain blocks are confirmed by extending a block. And so I was using realized that it becomes like a network of blockchains confirming each other's blocks, and so basically you have a lot of confirmations, and confirmations build firmament. So that's yeah, and it makes sense because all data posted natively on firm chains is the result of humans reaching consensus. And in my mind, that's something firm. That's something that is hard to tamper with, and that's something that has a lot of authority. So it is associated with something firm for me in that sense.
Super cool. Thanks, Tadas, for explaining that. That's really interesting. And Jorge wrote, Tadas, we all know you more than enough. You were the Iron Man of Eden+Fractal. So that's also quite a firm, iron's pretty firm. So thanks for sharing that, Jorge. And yeah, thanks for explaining to Das, and that's interesting with the confirmations. I hadn't thought about that. I also like the naming conventions with like firm chains and different things like that. At some point, well, I see Patrick's hands up, and I know Jorge wanted to share something about the mission, which might be a little bit of digression. I also want to share a couple of slides where people can learn more about Albedo too, and follow up that I think can help people provide some places where people can research later, and also provide some visual understanding and some videos. So I'll do that some point soon. But I think first it makes sense to pass on to Patrick if you're going to still continue talking about Firmament, and then we'll pass it on to Jorge, who can talk about the mission a little bit, and then after that I'll share my the presentations with my slides, and perhaps we'll wrap up the video, and we can keep going for a while, but perhaps we'll aim to wrap it up in 25 minutes or so at the half hour, but we can also wrap it up sooner or later if the community prefers. Patrick?
Yeah, very short. We are a little community here into Eden+Fractal, so we have to help us between us. So donate to this project Albedo on Pomelo Season 5. Because Tadas is here since a while with this project Albedo that was birthed at the very beginning of Fractali on February 2022. And I remember about the brainstorming session that we did on Fractali. I was meeting Tadas there. He was doing his proposal week after week. That was every week, the brainstorming session. And he was doing Albedo. Now he's moving to Firmament. So donate there on Pomelo Season 5. He deserves more contribution. So if everyone give something, I think that's already something to move on, to count on any other people. We have just to count on our contribution between us. Let's circulate more and contribute also to the Spanish Fractal by Jorge Ramos here, he do a fantastic job also. So give some EOS to Spanish Fractal, give EOS to every project on Pomelo that you think that you can collaborate with, not just give like this. I see a lot of collaboration possible with Albedo, Firmament, and I enjoy the next update to make a good promotion about what Tadas is doing. He's a fantastic developer, a genius developer, and he needs a good promotion and a good awareness for what he's doing. That's what I want to say. And there is not only Tadas here, there are other people like Eric and everyone deserve to have more visibility and promotion. That's what I want to see with this Eden+Fractal. And to finish about the mission, I think we are creating tools here that will help other circles. We are Eden+Fractal, but there are other circles. So we can help other circles to create their own stuff. And those other circles have to find the mission. Us, our mission is to help other circles. That's the mission that I see myself more going forward with Eden+Fractal, like a sandbox machine for Tadas, for Vlad, for everyone here to do the like a test with some people here. We are not too much big. We are still reasonable size. So that's the place to do some sandboxing, like on Eden on EOS, by the way, to do a fantastic sandboxing, and then go on Pomelo to create a fantastic grant.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Great speech, and I agree. I also encourage everybody to support Albedo on Pomelo, as well as all the people in the Eden community. So many people doing amazing work, and many people have Pomelo pitches. So Jorge with the Spanish Fractal grant, I have the Eden Creators grant. Lenny's got the recaps. I know Rosemary's making a grant as well for the community stories interview, and another one coming out soon. And Marco's working on the briefs, and I think Perry has D-News. I think there's lots of great ones. So great points, Patrick. Also, thank you very much. I know that you were very generous in supporting Tadas. I know, I think from your chief delegates, you committed to give 3,000 EOS to Tadas and 1,500 EOS for Pomelo Season 5. So thank you for supporting Tadas. And one thing Tadas mentioned about getting more funding to hire help and hire the developers, I think that should be a big priority to help Tadas and all the people in the ecosystem. I would also greatly benefit from being able to hire help for video editors and so forth. So the more that we can support each other, the better. And the way the Pomelo works is, of course, you can just give one EOS or something like that, and then it multiplies it. So that's much appreciated and very helpful. Also, I saw, yeah, actually, I'll add there because it seems like Jorge has some thoughts on his mind, and Jorge has been waiting for a while. So Jorge, how would you like to go now?
Thank you. Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you, Patrick, for those kind words, and more than that, words that have been backed by facts. You are so valuable here, Patrick, and thank you for the donation you made, both for the Spanish-speaking Fractal and to Tadas' work, which is amazing. That's it. Last night, we had the Spanish-speaking Fractal meeting. It was the first live meeting we had. We met at a restaurant in Bogota, and one girl there asked a similar question that Perry has been pushed for quite some time, which is about the mission. She asked, what are we doing here? And then I had a moment of epiphany. This girl is a biologist, so I tried to explain her in her terms. And this is what I bring to you guys today. If you guys go back 4 billion years ago to the time where life was emerging on Earth, and there was this organic soup of proteins and molecules forming together that were later become cells. And you are going to ask to one of those proteins or early molecules what their mission was. Why were they trying to group together to form whatever? None of those molecules will be able to answer that question. And if you move forward 1 billion years when there were already cells in the earth, and you were to ask one of those single cell organisms, why were they trying to group together to form multicellular organisms? None of those cells will be able to answer with that. None of those cells will be able to tell you, hey, we are going to become a brain, or we are going to become liver, or we are going to become a mammal. Because the concept of brains and livers and mammals and humans didn't exist back then. And so whatever came from those cultures became an emergent property that those individual parts couldn't foresee. And we are in a similar position now. If we come up with a mission right now, it can be too restrictive, too specialized, too limited to whatever our individual minds can foresee in the future. But the actual implications, or what we are doing here, are going to be emerging properties of our communal work. So I will go at this point, after having this realization, I will go against having any specific long-term mission and promote instead to have short-term, maximum 6-month term projects, some projects that we can focus on and bring them to reality instead of having a long-term mission. Because if we go back 3 years ago, there wasn't ChatGPT. If we go back 3 years forward, we don't know what's going to happen around us. So we don't want, as a collective organism, as a collective intelligence, we don't want to restrict ourselves to any specific path. We want to be the most adaptable and anti-fragile possible. So I wanted to say that regarding the mission, and thank you very much to all of you for the work you're doing here.
Thank you, Jorge. That's a beautiful metaphor, and thank you so much. That's very well said and rather difficult to follow. If maybe you have any thoughts for Jorge, I'd be curious to hear. I also, a lot of stuff you said, I'm going to share messages in the live chat. I also shared the mission too. I've been thinking about this a lot. I wrote quite a lot about the mission. I didn't share it yet. But one of the things I look back to and I've recommended many times is the article from James Mark called Mutually Benefiting from Misaligned Goals. And a lot of stuff you said there, quite similar. He writes, consensus on a mission in Fractal emerges from repeated rounds of reaching consensus on various contributions made in service of individual interests that ostensibly align with the shared goal, and how the mission is accomplished by the combination of individuals pursuing their individual missions. But you said it very, very well, of course, in a different way. But some of the stuff you said sounds quite similar, and I really appreciate you sharing that. I suppose I see Patrick and Douglas have their hands up now, so I can pass on to Patrick. Also, by the way, there's been, for anybody watching on YouTube, there's been lots of hearts and thumbs ups and everything going on as well. So lots of engagement. People
I think that was in response to me, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a general mission, but if you'd like to respond, Perry, I'd be happy to hear it. But first, we'll go to Patrick and Douglas. They have their hands up.
Yeah, really very, very short. Thank you very much, Jorge. Every time you join, you share a little story or metaphor, and that's the favorite moment since 2 weeks, 3 weeks like this. I love it. I am not the only one. I enjoy that you do that frequently to help us to come back to the obvious and the simplicity and the dynamism, because not all is frozen in the stone. That's what I see, that you are a physician or someone very physical. So thank you for that. I love it.
Thank you, Patrick. I see Douglas lowered his hand, so I guess Perry can go next, or you want to say something, Douglas?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, it was just like popping up on my screen.
Okay.
I just wanted to chime in and say, like, I really resonate with what you were saying about the individual motivations driving us forward, and especially Jorge, I love listening to you talk, and I think that the idea about the seasonality is something we're bringing into Aquarius Fractal. We're doing 3 months. So I invite you and anyone listening to check us out there, lou.ma/aquadac. And we're actually leaning towards the individualism. So it'll be interesting to see how that works with more focus on each individual person. But thank you, and back to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Douglas, very much. Always appreciate hearing what you are sharing. And I'll share the lou.ma/aqueduct in the, it sounds like aqueduct actually, /aqueduct in the live chat so people can check that out. Really cool art there as well. And yeah, Perry inspired that beautiful speech from Jorge, and Perry has hands up. So Perry, thoughts?
Well, Jorge, that was the most eloquent argument for leaderless effort I've ever heard. And I felt like you were making the argument for us to emulate God or evolution, however you want to think of it. I think that's very different from the reality. The reality is we have a centralized force that does appear to have some form of a mission that is funding this, and an effort for us not to publicly agree of what our mission is. So I really am looking forward to all of the arguments or whatever's going to be put forth that's going to talk about what we're not doing or what we are doing. It's kind of hard for me to believe that the best approach is to have no rudder, to have no direction, to have no commonly agreed focus, no commonly agreed vision. That's difficult for me to believe. Even God has, I mean, and this is a controversial subject unto itself, but if you believe in intelligent design, or you believe that there is something behind the biology and the chemistry of the universe, there is some sense to it. But to suggest that we just are going to grow as a group in a random direction, we don't know where we're going to go. In light of the fact that we all know what's going on behind the scenes, is kind of silly, guys.
All right, we're getting real deep into philosophy and God and mission and so forth. I think so. There's a lot to say here, and I'm looking forward to discussing all these things more. But I think that this is part of the process that we're discussing these things, and we have been discussing missions and various perspectives around it for the past 10 weeks or so now. So I really appreciate everybody's feedback. Also, before I pass it on to, I see Tadas has hands up, and I think Noam had his hands up too, but I don't know if Noam's here anymore. Actually, no, he did. But first, I'll just read out a couple messages in the chat. I saw Rosemary said this is one of my favorite moments of Eden+Fractal, and then that got some laughing, smiley faces. And Douglas said we are gods, and then Rosemary said this is better than scripted. This is better than scripted, but would be better in writing, if that makes sense. I suppose it makes sense. So thanks for sharing, Rosemary. And I agree. This is some pretty beautiful moments, and I'm really excited to be here, hearing all these thoughts of everybody and engaging too. I suppose I heard Noam going, but I think Tadas has hands up. Unless I think you had your hands up first, Noam. Do you want to go first?
No, I had my hand up by accident. I'm still here, but I don't want to talk.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Thanks, Noam. Tadas? Tadas also wrote an article at Mission too lately.
Yeah, so I don't think Jorge was talking about directionless community like Perry was suggesting. He was talking about committing to a mission, but not allowing ourselves to change it, being flexible in that way. Like, for example, if you could see that in the animal world, for example, if an animal wants to eat, he is totally into eating, and it seems that his only purpose is eating. But he eats, and then he is able to do other things like play, for example. So like I could see that a community could be like that. It could focus at certain times on specific missions that and it could switch that whenever it needs to.
Yep, I agree, and I think that's a great point. I don't think I don't understand. I see Perry wrote, in as much as the mission is changeable, it's not a mission. I don't agree with that. People, animals, people change their missions all the time, and they do different things. There can be an underlying mission, but people can change their mind, and I don't see how anybody would see that there's no direction going on here. Like, we've been meeting now for 40 weeks together. That's a bunch of really smart people, a bunch of really talented people. People are joining and contributing in so many great ways. And we're now, like Douglas is saying, he's going to help the Aquarius Academy with these consensus games, and Jorge is helping the Spanish community with these consensus games. Like, we're all working together. I could say so much about what everybody's doing here to help, and we're all moving in the same direction. It goes back a bit to what James Mark was writing in that article. Like, maybe every has a bit of a different vision, bit of a different mission, but we're all going in the same direction, and we're all doing beautiful, amazing things. I go ramble and say a lot of exciting stuff about this. I'll pass it on to Lenny.
Yeah, I normally don't say much, and what I'm saying now is pretty much what Tadas already have said in writing. Those of us who have read his things, what he puts up, and discussion with Vlad and similar, we're aware of it. Basically, I mean, we might have a vision and a mission, and similarly, but it's not going to stick the same for 10, 15, 20 years. Mission changes. My personal mission is to find that seed. That's why this is my 4th or 5th DAO that I'm engaging in. Find the seed that I believe we can nurture to become the DAO of DAOs, the real DAO that's going to work. That's my mission. Once we have that achieved, then we can start talking about changing the world and stuff. But we all have different missions, different vision of where we want to go. So I think Perry a little bit, he's very eloquent speaking, but not quite on point. Maybe didn't read up. I don't know. Sorry, Perry, a little bit kick your way. Thank you.
Love you too, Lenny.
Cool. Well, yeah, and I do think that there's value in coming to consensus about a mission. Like, as Jorge was saying, like, I suppose if you use that kind of biological metaphor, the cells, they do come together to form the organs and to form the animal and so forth. Like, so they do form the missions and so forth over time. But yeah, I think overall forming a mission with our consensus process is a good idea. And that's why I've been proposing for the past 3 weeks this mission to help people collaborate, create public goods, and empower communities. I'm also very excited about different missions too. I think that Lenny's got a great mission. My personal mission in life is to make the best experiences possible. And as far as I can see, I don't think that I'll ever change with that, because I love that mission. But everybody can have their own. I know Vlad's is to know the truth. And yeah, we can come to consensus about the mission over time. But anyway, we have been going for a while now. It's almost 3 hours that some of us have been
Beautiful.
here. Beautiful. Thank you, Patrick.
That's very well stated, by the way. The best experience possible. What you are fear every day is a change. So we know how it is going currently. So best experience possible. Do the things naturally. That's normal. Contribute here, and donate, and do what you want. Voilà. Yeah, baby.
Absolutely. Yeah, baby. I still have a couple slides I can share. One about the articles I've been still continuing to curate at edencreators.com/mission and vision. And we discussed this a lot, so perhaps I can share that as a way to, for anybody who's watching, to see all the great discussions, because we've had so many great discussions. I'm looking forward to including this one. And I'd also still like to share a couple slides to promote what Tadas is doing with Albedo too, where people can learn more. But I'm not in a rush to do it, but I suppose we should wrap it up pretty soon. And obviously this whole discussion about mission, we could continue for quite a while if we wanted to, but we have many more days and many more meetings where we could discuss it as well. And we've already got a lot done today. does anybody want to discuss anything or share any more thoughts before we start to wrap it up? And if it's all right with everybody, I can share this presentation. Just quickly go over it in like a minute or so.
I'll share something. We've been working on the mission. It was already kind of laid out since I've been here. So I do kind of feel what Perry's saying to a certain degree, as far as like, you know, pin something down. And I do agree that it can be changeable. And I think that's part of it. Maybe that is left in there. But I do think having some sort of a vague mission, which I believe the one you've written is fairly vague, you know, and is open to change and interpretation. But I do think laying something down is a good idea. I do think that, you know, Jorge's words were beautiful and things do develop organically, and we may not realize what we're doing at the moment. But I do agree that getting some sort of a mission laid down, even if it is very vague and overarching, is a good thing.
Great points. Thank you so much for sharing, Joe. And I very much agree and really appreciate your insight. It also inspired me to think, so a couple of reasons why I agree, why it's good to come to consensus about a mission, and with the understanding that it can change and everybody has their own personal missions that align with that group consensus mission to some extent, but don't necessarily need to entirely align with that. One, people just ask, what is the mission? And it's nice to have a quick answer for that. It's nice to be able to answer quickly and shortly and answer people's questions. We can say, we can provide some qualifiers, say, you know, everybody has their own missions to some extent, but this is our mission, and then that can be short answer. And then the second thing I think is really valuable for is as a prompt in the consensus game that we play at Eden+Fractal, because when people come and they say, okay, what are we ranking each other's contributions for? Having a mission can basically serve as the goal of the game. What are we trying to do? And right now it's been a little bit ambiguous. Like we all know, it's about helping the community, helping Eden and so forth, helping EOS are parts of it. But I think that one of the specific roles of the mission is like the goal of the game. And it's like when somebody comes, then we can say, here's the mission, what we're trying to achieve, and here's what we can rank each other's contributions by. And one of the reasons why I've been proposing that mission of helping people collaborate, creating public goods, and empowering communities, I'm open to do something different, but I think that those three are really helpful, like really helpful missions. And that gives somebody a prompt that it's pretty wide, so people can interpret in a lot of ways, and people can come from all sorts of different ecosystems and background and say, well, here's how I'm creating public goods that help everybody, or here's how I'm helping people collaborate and empowering communities. I think that having some sort of mission like that, it can change, certainly, and I'm open to different ways. So this with Vibe, but I think that having something that is helpful for those reasons. One, to answer quickly, and then two, to be able to give people something to work with in the game to frame how they're contributing. So, Joe, I'd be curious if you have thoughts about that. Thank you so much for sharing. I see Eric has hands up too. I'd also be curious too. I don't know if we heard from Noam and Rosemary about their thoughts with the mission much, but if anybody we haven't heard from yet wants to speak, then it'd be cool as well. But I'll pass on to Eric now.
I think the key is not whether you have a mission or that. It's at some point a group has to know what they agree to. And that agreement can be really big, and it can be very specific, and it can change. But I think it's important to write down what, as a group, we or what any group agrees to. And that's the purpose. We agree, you know, vision is we agree to be traveling toward this place, and a mission is here's what we agree to do in order to travel to that place. So I don't think you get wrapped up in how big. It's just what can we agree to, but it has to be clear enough that you know what you agree to. Like if we agree to we promote happiness, that's not going to do anybody any good because nobody knows what that means or what's to do. It's not. It can't be just conceptual. It has to be physical on some level, or else you can't do anything in the physical world. You can only do things in the other world. So it's what can you agree to, and it should be specific enough that people could start walking in that path and know they're on that right path toward agreement.
Great thoughts, Eric. Thank you very much for sharing. I don't know if I totally agree that it has to be so specific. Like I've thought about what if, say for example, if there was a community that organized like us, it could be Eden+Fractal or a different one, that went by the mission of promoting happiness. Like I think that's kind of a cool game prompt. Like people come together and they say, okay, what did you do to make people happier this week? And people say, oh, you know, I hosted this cool party. People enjoy it. Like I think that could. I don't know if it's the best mission for us. I don't think it is. That's what I'm proposing. But I think that kind of general game prompt can be very inspiring for people to come together.
I think that would be a good vision. The vision would be, you know, promote happiness or make the world a better place, but it's not a very good mission. Because what do we do to do that? What do we agree to do that? And it can be very simple. We agree to look for opportunities to share joy. Okay, we just moved from the conceptual into the physical world. We didn't say you have to throw parties. We just said we look for opportunities to find and share joy. I mean, that's still very vague, yet it exists in the physical world. But just to say that, oh, we promote happiness. Yeah, you could do that, but you're not going to move very far as a group. You know, it's very tough to get people rowing in the same direction. You know, and that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to say, is there direction we want to row together? And do we have at least enough structure so we know how to row together? If it's just we like to get together and talk, and the mission of this is to share ideas and have fun, that's a different thing. But then we've already gone physical because we said the idea is to share ideas or to connect. You know, that's very much like Crownlandia. It's like, you know, we like to talk about metaverse, blockchain, and we like to share ideas. So the purpose of that is to share ideas and come up with potential projects and work together where we want to.
Just want to add to that.
Thanks, Eric. Go ahead,
I just want to add what Eric was describing. That sounds very great. I just want to say, I put in the chat here, we create consensus tools on the EOS mainnet. That's very specific. Tools on the EOS mainnet. That is a catalyst to build your ideas in sandboxing. And by the way, it's more important to be nice than to be important. And let's combine our powers together. That's what we are doing since June. We combine our powers together to have the best experience possible of this Eden+Fractal, where we meet beautiful people, and then you can create collaboration with those people outside of Eden+Fractal if you want, because Eden+Fractal is the catalyst to have these connections. Without the breakout room, you don't will have the chance to meet new people. But when you are since a while, like Lenny, me, or other OGs, the breakout room is no more the most important point. The most important point is then the main room. For the newcomers, the breakout room is very important because they will create new connections. And we need to create those connections around this Eden+Fractal, into this EO. We need to create collaborative circles. Everyone we can have a circle that has enough value. And when we have enough value, we can connect with the people, because that's not make sense to connect with another circle if your circle has not enough value, because if you connect too much early, you will lose your independence, identity, maybe, and not have your best freedom. So thanks to Eden+Fractal, we are educated week after week with a new mindset, upgraded or updated, and then we evolve. So it's very important to have fun, because if there is no fun, what's the point? So we need to have good fun, very well structured, nice processes, all this stuff. We are doing that into Eden+Fractal. That's innovative, and that will help other communities that need that. Like Eden on EOS is creating protocols, processes from bottom to the top. That's a sandboxing machine. We are a sandboxing machine for people like nice developer like Tadas, Vlad, and Perry, and others. We are coming here, we can test our things because we are in little group early. So I think the mission, yes, it's clear, that's good to have a mission, but we need to have a mission not too much specific. For example, this one, we are creating the consensus tools into Eden+Fractal. We are a catalyst. The mission is already a little specific, but not too much. That's led possibilities to change. But I understand Perry with his mission. He wants to have a better mission for this Eden+Fractal. But Perry is not here since June. He's already disappointed. But that will come. Hallelujah. So what do you think? We can wrap it up here, or you can put your hats down and we do a fantastic close.
Sounds good. Hallelujah, Patrick. I'm just going to share a quick presentation. I'll only be a minute just to kind of summarize this with a bit of visuals. I see Lenny needs to slide out, and he gave a smiley face. Until then, be good and do good. Absolutely. Thanks, Lenny. Also, Rosemary and Jorge had to go, and they said thanks and see you all. So thanks, everybody. Yeah, I'll just be real quick with this because I just want to wrap it up with some visuals, then we can wrap it up. But very inspiring thoughts, Patrick, and I really also resonate, especially what you're saying with fun too. That's a big part of it too, having fun, and I really appreciate all the times we've enjoyed so far and all the times we will. Yeah, so just briefly, I've been curating this page at edencreators.com/mission. I still do need, it needs a lot of updating. That's one of the things I just haven't had much time to update and really curate it, but there's so much more that we could put here that we've discussed. But this is a resource where you can see some timestamps of different meetings where people have discussed, as well as different proposals and different meetings and different discussions. So at some point, especially when I have more help to curate this, then we can make it so much better. But already it's a great resource for all the great discussions that we've had, or some of the great discussions we had over the weeks. And there'll be more coming soon. Also working on making cool art. And there is the edencreators.com/vision article too, which focuses quite a lot on Eric's feedback about developing a mission and a vision, and also James Smart's thoughts too. So everybody can explore these if you want to learn, if you want to see some of these, and I'll do my best to curate all the great thoughts from the community members. There's also some great articles from James Smart, Tadas, and many others in the Eden+Fractal Telegram chat for the topic for mission that we recently started up. Big thanks to Noam for starting that as well. And then of course you can go into edencreators.com/videos to see past weeks, like the 29th and 30th meeting when Vlad first made proposals at missions, right after we got systems to prioritize topics. On that note, with mission kind of wrapped up there, I also want to once again say a big thanks to Tadas for sharing his presentation about Firmament Albedo. I'm really looking forward to listening and watching this again to really absorb it more, as well as working with Tadas as much as possible, or helping as much as possible to help Tadas achieve this vision, because I think it's really helpful. I encourage everybody to support Tadas on Pomelo, as well as all the other great builders in the ecosystem, and you can learn more at both his Pomelo pitch and edencreators.com/albedo, where you can see some stuff that I've written about Tadas's work and some other updates and so forth. Also check out the videos on the Nova Crypto YouTube channel that Patrick kindly invited me to co-host, and you can check out the timestamps to see and learn more about the DAS. The last one was October, so at some point we'll do another one soon. Patrick mentioned that we'll have an Eden+Fractal update where we'll discuss it a little bit, and we'll get a lot more into detail. There's also one from the 28th as well, where you can learn more about Albedo and Firmament, and I also have to create a talk show with the DAS too, where this one's more about the Eden+Fractal process, but you can learn about all the cool stuff that, or some of the cool stuff that the DAS is doing. DAS is a great builder, and we're very lucky to have DAS and many other amazing people in the community. And then you can also follow along with the DAS's work at sam31.github.io/albedo updates. That's in the Pomelo and the creators site, where you can see updates that Tadas is sharing on most days about what he's doing with Albedo and Firmament. I've been following along with these, and it's a really exciting way to follow along. I think it'll be super helpful for lots of developers. A couple of weeks ago, there's also a preview of a UI that seems like Tadas is building that will enable people to cooperate. This also uses EVM too, which is a very exciting component of it as well. People can learn more at t.me/chain albedo, I believe it is, chain_albedo. So I encourage people to join there to learn more, and also participate in the Eden+Fractal group as well with questions and comments about this. And once again, thanks to Douglas as well for all the great work and what he's doing with Aqueduct, not Aqueduct. The next meeting is on Tuesday, March 14th, and I think he said these are happening every Tuesday. So I shared a link to that in the Telegram chat, and encourage everybody to join and check it out and help support Douglas. He's doing amazing work. Looking forward to it. That's at t.me/Eden+Fractal, where you can learn more and follow up with all these discussions. And of course, we'll be meeting every week for Eden+Fractal. We'll have the 41st meeting next time. So hope that has been a helpful presentation. I know it's been a very helpful meeting overall. It's been fascinating and really enjoyed it. So thank you so much, everybody. Heart from Douglas, thank you. I suppose if anybody has any last words that you want to share before we wrap it up, I see Patrick has his hands up and is also giving a heart. I can go get a hat as well, so we can do some hats if anybody. And I know Space Wrangler Joe has a hat as well. So if Douglas is pulling out the Douglas is pulling out the
nice.
headband.
Bust out
Hey,
the
Douglas.
ninja.
Nice, very nice.
I'll get my hat. I'll be right back.
And Joey has already a hat on his photo. That's nice. In real. Oh.
I can't see people. I'm on mobile. But thank you for the shout out, Dan, and for sharing the screen for the Aqueduct. I
And
appreciate
Perry
that.
has
Sounds
a
great.
nice hat.
Perry
Of
is
Los
not a
Angeles
bot.
boy.
Not that's a good hat to have. And that's how we solve civil protection.
Great.
That's how we solve the AI issues coming up.
Yeah.
I've got 5 hats.
Oh, nice.
I'll throw one of these to Noam.
Wow.
There you go, Noam.
It's
Now we all got it.
Mexican. It's a Mexican one or a Colombian
I'm
guy.
gonna go
Cowboy?
Space Wrangler style.
Oh, it's Space Wrangler style. I'm gonna put 2 hats on once to make it extra good.
Oh yeah.
Try to balance here.
I'm gonna put
Wow.
headphones on.
Headphones on. It's actually very difficult to balance a hat with headphones. None of these hats are big enough. All right.
Man, I'm operating a spotlight
will
at a country music
sing-
festival this weekend.
I will sing.
Operating the
Yeah.
spotlight at a country music festival. Okay, I'm interested.
Yeah, I need to
too.
borrow your hat,
Dan,
man.
if you agree.
There we go.
I
I'll
will-
have to send it over to you. What's that, Patrick?
Oh, Dan, if you agree, I will sing something from my heart, soul, and mind now in live to wrap it up that very close. I will do that with all my heart, soul, and mind. Okay?
Wonderful.
I close my eyes.
Just,
You can also close your eyes. If
Just,
you want.
I will.
At 3,
But I'm
2,
just
1,
wondering
0, I go.
how long are you planning to sing for? Because sometimes you sing for like 5 minutes, so we should probably wrap it up. Not too long. Maybe sing for like 30 seconds and wrap it up with the
No,
go
no,
or
no.
something.
I will sing 30 seconds.
Noam's got something now too. Noam's got like a halo or a frisbee.
Gnome is an angel. Gnome is
he's
an
a-
angel.
It also looks like a moon orbit too. Is that a moon orbit you have over you?
It's an aerobie.
A Roby? What is that?
It's something that flies much farther than any airplane or frisbee.
Oh yeah, I have one of those too. Those things are awesome. One day we should all play around, have long distance aerobie throws. Cool, and works as a hat too if you hold it. Probably
Okay,
doesn't stand
I
very
go.
well.
I am
All right.
pissed. I am pissed. I go.
I'm getting the impression
Okay.
that Patrick wants to go.
3, 2, 1, 0. The best song in the galaxy of the dogs. Okay.
All right.
3, 2, 1, 0.
0.
We are Eden+Fractal. We are Eden+Fractal.
Yes.
Only. We are
Away.
Eden+Fractal. We are Eden+Fractal. We are the best dog in the galaxy. We are the best dog in the galaxy. We are Eden+Fractal. We are Eden+Fractal. We are the best dog in the galaxy. We are the best dog in the galaxy. Antelope.
Antelope.
We are the best Eden+Fractal. We are the best Eden+Fractal.
All right. We're the best Fractal dogs in the galaxy.
Okay.
You're here first, everybody.
And
Thank you,
now,
Patrick, for the beautiful
3, 2, 1,
rendition.
0, you say go Eden+Fractal.
Fractal.
Okay.
All right. 3, 2,
1.
Go Eden+Fractal.
Go Eden. Fractal.
You understand? Okay.
That's it. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Patrick.
That's the cat toss.
Yes, I had 6 hats to toss, so I made full use of it for all the tosses. Great seeing Patrick's hat was going up into his face because he was getting all animated and his hat moves around a little bit. There we go. No,
Oh.
This is fun. Thank you for inspiring us with the great fun times, Patrick. Really appreciating the hats, and thanks everybody. This has been amazing. I suppose we should wrap it up. How can we top that? So, any last words? Just goodbye, peace and love.
Peace out, guys. See you next week.
Bye.
Peace out. Thanks, everybody, and see you next week.
It's been a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.